No,
I love your
got-
outfit too. That
Thank
jacket
you.
is awesome. Where did you get this jacket?
I got it in LA at a consignment shop.
Where have you not been? You've been everywhere. You've been a lot of
gosh.
places. It's
I've
like
been-
if I don't see you for a couple months and I see you again, how you doing? You're like, oh, just got back from this. It's all over the country, you know,
I never know where I'm going. It constantly changes too.
because of your.
Because of my job. I just this past week I thought I was going to Ohio, and then bam, two days before I go to a conference in Alabama. And then I thought I was going to be gone for a month, and now I'm home for 4 days, and so we get to do this.
Isn't that stressful? It's gotta be stressful.
It's stressful, but it also makes life more joyful too, and vibrant, and the stress. You just got to take stress as it is, I think, and allow it to make life more enjoyable, I guess.
Right, and I think you have the right personality for it because you've always been adventurous and traveling and outdoors.
Yeah,
Can you tell everyone what you do? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm a drone pilot and full-time drone pilot forester for a forestry company, big forestry company called Davy Tree, and so I go all around the country and I don't know, do mapping, a lot of mapping, or inspect for assets for power lines and stuff like that to prevent forest fires. And spray. I'm certified spray pesticide applicator in probably 11 states.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You have to get a new certification every state.
Yeah, every state.
Are they similar?
Yeah, pretty much, more or less. Sometimes they have a lot more questions about different species in some states compared to the others and stuff like that. But yeah, then I have a certification in thermal imaging, optical gas imaging, and then all the drone certifications as well.
And what are those for? What are you using those type of imaging for?
To look for gas leaks or any hot spots and wires, things like that.
Oh, I didn't know you did that too.
Yeah.
Oh, and these are things you started to do the more you were working there?
Yeah.
Building up certifications?
Yeah, definitely. Well,
Okay.
I wanted to be a truck driver when I was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, and so I
Like a big 18-wheeler
Yeah.
semi-truck? I did not know that. Really?
that was my dream as a little kid for the longest time, and I feel like I achieved that with this job. Even though
It's definitely, you travel like a truck driver.
yeah, I do.
Minus as much, you do drive some of them and then you fly some of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
It varies.
Yeah, I've done a couple cross country road trips, and then also just the other week I got my DOT physical recertified. So
And what's DOT?
Department of Transportation.
Oh,
So my
okay.
truck driver's physical,
Oh.
basically. So I'm really a truck driver.
So is it because of the size of the vehicle and what you're driving?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you do the CDL to do the 18-wheel.
It's yeah. You have to have a Class A to do
Okay.
but I don't have a Class A.
What do you have?
I have a Class C.
Class C.
Yeah.
What do normal drivers have?
D.
Class D. And then would B
Drive.
be like a
Right.
slightly larger thing? Is it in that order? Like D is a normal car, C's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never looked into that. It seems like something simple, but I always just either drove. I mean, I either drove the car I have, and if I had to drive something else, I guess I didn't use a license. I just,
Yeah.
But I've never driven a bigger truck than a U-Haul, for moving. And the most recent road trip was it the Florida one that you did?
And I got to see you.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was so fun.
So random.
That was so unexpected. Another one, I was filling in for my supervisor to do training, and I had no expectations to go on that trip to Florida. And I've been wanting to go to UFest or
UW or EWW.
yeah,
Or EEW. I always forget. I'm always like, is it the WW? I always think WWE. It's
Electric Winter
yeah,
Wonderland.
EWW. You. Fun hidden gem
Yeah.
in Florida. People should check that one out. And we had a lot of
We
fun
had so
there.
much fun.
It was
So
a
much
whole weekend.
dancing.
Camping, tenting, a bunch of friends.
Oh, I loved that artist that was playing the violin.
Oh, Dixon. Dixon
Yes.
violin, yeah.
And underneath, like the lights underneath the moss and the oak trees, that was
Beautiful.
so
With that massive
beautiful.
sandcastle.
Yes.
People are like, what are they talking about? It's kind of hard to explain, but
Yeah.
check it out on social media. EWW, Electric Winter Wonderland Festival. But you were down there with that big drone.
Yeah.
That
It
thing looked
was
like something out of the
huge.
future.
Yeah. I just learned how to fly that drone too, like the day before I saw you, and we were flying in these cabbage patch fields, where actually the same day they were harvesting the cabbage, and so it was really intense to see these men, these probably migrant workers, and like how fast they're working and how much it really made me appreciate where our food comes from, and it just like another level.
Yeah, those are some of the small nuances you see when you travel by car or by foot, not by airplane. Airplane's fun too. That's a whole nother freaky experience. But when you travel the country by car or any country by car and you see like everything that builds what it is, its whole economy, the ecosystems, the parks, the industrial parts, the water sources, everything. Yeah, like I was driving from Bloomington yesterday, central Illinois, and then went past this massive new solar power panel field that they're building. It's huge on both sides, different angles, all those big windmills in the middle, and then you see all the farming around it, and you realize like that's like 95% of this whole country, and it's a big country. And all of North America, you think same thing with Canada. It's like mostly just vast, either forest, plains, or farming. Like,
Yeah, even like Europe too is
oh
like
yeah,
that
same
too.
thing.
I'd expect it like because it's so much smaller than the U.S. like that it'd be more compact with towns and stuff. But it is like nature still prevails. Like, yeah,
And it's beautiful to watch and see, and especially with your job because you're always in nature. Like 100% of what you do is nature.
I love it.
And so you were talking about power lines. You named that.
Yeah, so I do a lot of work on power lines, and I've done
Like clearing brush.
clearing brush. Yeah, so I was spraying the spray drone to prevent trees from growing up into the power lines.
Are these the big power lines?
Yeah, big ones.
Big ones.
Mostly, yeah, it works better. Like areas where it's harder for people to go out and do that, so it's like a lot safer. You're using a lot less water too. Like, oh, geez, such a small fraction of water compared to what they normally use in order to spray things like that. And then also, you're saving like men from having to go out on these cliff sides with chainsaws and stuff like that. So it's nice to be like, okay, I'm doing something, well, spreading chemicals, but where I'd probably prefer not to do that. But at the same time, there's some benefits to it. Like
Well, you see it firsthand.
yeah,
Like I to be very, straightforward, you said something that a lot of people don't think about enough. You said those men, because people usually get hurt or die from doing these things or sick
yeah,
or something. And in a lot of these fields, historically and still to this day, it's like so much a lot of struggling men, men who don't have too many options, or maybe they're just outdoorsy, but it's a hard, dangerous job. They call them widowmakers for a reason when a branch falls out of a tree.
yeah,
Kills a lot of guys when they're cutting down trees for whatever reason. And I'm sure there's way better protocols and it's safer now, but it's this stuff, you can't expect the unexpected, even though that's usually the first slogan of like safety.
yeah.
But you can't, like, things could happen. Electricity, like those big power lines, tens of thousands of volts. The wrong thing touches the wrong thing, and the wrong person's touching it, dead, just gone.
Previously to this job, I was a forester around Chicago, so inspecting power lines. And anytime there was a storm, we had to be careful about touching fences because there could be a down power line and touching that fence, and
Bye-bye.
yeah,
I mean, they're so powerful that when you're around them, you hear the cycle hum, that low electrical hum just buzzing hundreds of feet, above you. And if there was this park, I don't think parks should be underneath them, but I used to play at this park in Crestwood, Illinois, off of like Cicero and 137th, Midlothian Turnpike, that area. Yeah. And there is a park there underneath the power lines. And I remember if you stuck your hand between certain pieces of metal that were close to each other, you would get shocked, electrical shock from it. We'd always do it as like a funny like initiation for like friends and cousins. Like, you got to do it. And we do it. I get shocked. And you would hear it just directly go, and it's like something is transferring, something is not done right here. I don't know why park's underneath this. Very stupid idea, but hey.
Well, I'm not shocked that you were doing that because
Of course.
when I met you, you were always doing crazy stuff like that.
I've tampered down. I've
Yes.
wound it back.
Yes, definitely.
Well, for those who don't know, that's because we met when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
We weren't even legal adults yet. We were 17. You were maybe 16. I was probably 17.
Yeah, I think, were you born in 90?
I was born in December 89.
89, okay. Yeah, I think I was just
And you're
turning-
September 90. So you were 09 from high school, and I was 08.
Yeah, I think I was just turning, it was going into my senior year of high school
It
is
was.
when I came over and to the DZ.
DZ Records, DZ Fest. That's when, yeah. This is the 20th year that I built that. It would be in August. It would be 20 years. So, yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, I remember that day too. Like, because it's just like, how often do you go to someone's backyard, little cabin thing
With multiple rooms.
multiple
people everywhere.
rooms.
For some reason, everyone knows what's going on. And anytime someone was new there, they were just like, what is going on? And everyone else was like, just really chill or wild and like was fluent in whatever it is we were up to, you know?
Yeah.
Just knew like what it meant to go to the platform or go pick up pizza for everyone or go get donuts from the dumpster from Dunkin' Donuts. We used to do that all the time. They would just take all the donuts, put it in a bag, tie it up, and just set it on top of the dumpster for us because we knew a guy. We'd always just go pick up these old donuts and share them. So ridiculous.
I loved the room that was full of the Arizona iced tea cans.
Yeah, we had there was 1,000 cans in there at one point that we drank. I did most of the damage, sadly. I was 17, 18, but that happened 18. And that lasted until I had to cut a hole to take some down to make the last room in the back. And then the fireplace, I had to cut some cans out. So I had to throw away like 200 cans. Yeah.
I remember when the fireplace was being built too.
That was November 2008. That's a really terrible but funny story. I like burned off all my fingertips from building that because I bought this really fancy fire resistant mortar that could handle temperatures up to like 3,000 degrees. So it would protect the inside of the brick because they were fire retardant bricks, but you still needed to protect them with good mortar so it wouldn't chip and fall apart. But it had so much, I guess, lime or something in it that just ate away at my fingertips because I was spreading with my hand like an idiot.
Oh, God.
And I had to perform for music theory at Moraine Valley Community College the next day. And I had Band-Aids on every fingertip and I couldn't play the piano. And my teacher had to play my final project. And she was like, what were you doing? And I told her and she's like, oh, she shook her head.
Yeah.
You know, typical teenage stupid stuff to do.
I don't know how typical
I guess
that
it's not
is,
typical
but
at all.
it's typical for you and your flavor of wildness back then.
Yeah. So we've known each other almost 18 years. So a lot of wild stuff in between that.
Yeah. Yeah. Parties over at my house too. You'd come over to my dad's
A lot of
house.
fun bonfires. Yeah, your dad's house is still belongs in like a fairy tale book.
It does. Yeah, that place is. I miss it, but it's just so special to be like in this house that was so crafted intentionally. You know, the carved windows, the redwood, because it was built in 1920. So it was like right before redwood became illegal to harvest, or old redwood at least.
Yeah, probably how some other wood too. That's maybe a little bit harder to get now, or would be really expensive. You know. Yeah, that I love houses that have like a unique customization to them. You know, I always loved my old house because it didn't have like really unique, superficial things like nice carved anything. But when you got into the bones of it, which I definitely did, I saw how much it was just a custom built job by my grandfather who had no money.
Yeah.
And he somehow still managed to build this thing with like nothing. Like almost just, it was all used wood from old buildings and old houses that were torn down. You don't notice it until you have to take apart drywall or a floor and you see that all the floor is made out of wood chipping pallets. The whole like subfloor of the house.
No way.
Yeah. And I discovered that stuff as a kid, going in all the nooks and crannies and the crawl spaces and fixing things. And I'm like, man, it made me appreciate, like, because then it was a customized house. It truly was. It didn't follow any traditional architecture of anything at all. Just kind of pieced it together over time for his family. As he had more kids, he would just add stuff to it. Crazy.
So many memories.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that you made there, but then also like the 3 generations of your family.
3 generations. Yeah, if I was normal and had a kid in my 20s, it would have been 4 generations there. It would have been easy. I just didn't do that. I had my own version of kids, all my friends.
Yes, definitely.
And they've had kids, so it all worked out.
It's like Robin Hood, or not Robin Hood. What am I thinking of?
Hook?
Peter Pan.
Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Yep, I thought Hook. Yeah, Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that. Yeah. Thank God I had my parents very open with people coming over, but very strict. So thank God for that. Like a lot of parents that have, usually when you get to go to a person's house a lot, it turns out the parents are too loose. Like the ones that will like share the drugs and alcohol with their kids, or like let them know they can all do that and do kind of wild stuff. Whereas my parents were like, you could do wild stuff, but you have to like follow these rules.
Right. Yeah.
Have to.
Because you guys weren't doing that stuff. You were just being wild boys.
Wild
like,
teenagers.
Yeah.
2 men, like 10, 12, 15 boys.
Yeah.
All teenagers, most from crazy homes. And you put us all together in a box in a forest, and yeah, just funny stuff happened. It's hilarious. And I'm so glad that phones were not a thing then, because, and not so much for like capturing dumb stuff teenagers do, because that's one thing, but it's more that those were real things that happened and great memories, and none of it was really captured from like 2005 to 2012. And but it's fun because we all really had those experiences. Like any of the few hundred people in those years that were there, all had like real memories. They were there for and present. They weren't scrolling on their phones, so they're not remembering like all the cool stuff because they're like what you would have now.
I actually have pictures from the first time I went over
You
to
do?
your place, because I had that day.
You have to send them to me.
Yeah, I will. It was. I went to the zoo earlier that day, so
Was it November 3rd, 2007?
No, it was in. It was during the summer, and so I went to the zoo with some friends earlier that day, and I had a digital camera going to the zoo, and then I met up with a different friend that brought me over and to your place and had the camera on me. So
Wow. And
Yeah.
that was summer 2007?
it's 2007. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize you were there that early. Okay. I could see that. A lot of people came over.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember like exactly the only time I remember like a specific day is the early friends that came over when it was more new. And my memory was more like
I mean,
keeping track.
Your memory is really impressive.
I just remember November 3rd, 2007, because you and Pat signed the ladder, and it says Pat and Leah, November 3rd, 2007. The ladder that went up to the upstairs, and that was one of the last things I saw on it when I threw it into a fire and burned it.
Interesting.
Yep.
Because I didn't know Pat until like 2000, until after.
It said Pat. You were hanging out, but it didn't say Pat Leah. It said Pat. That's what it said. Pat was there.
Okay.
And it said Pat. Maybe you weren't there. It did just say Pat.
Okay.
Yeah, but I remember seeing that when I burned it. I was laughing. I was like, that's so funny. Because I would always see, it was the first thing I would see whenever I would just walk in, turn to go into the fire room. The ladder was right there, and on the side it just said Pat 2007, November 3rd, 2007. So I never forgot it because I saw it hundreds and hundreds of times. And then the last thing I saw when I threw it in the fire to burn all that stuff was that date, and it made me laugh. But I guess your name wasn't on it. I'm sure your name was someone else.
Somewhere else. Yeah. So many names.
Right. Enough about me. Let's talk about you. I want to talk more about these power lines. So what chemicals do you drop to kill the plants, the trees?
Yeah. I don't want to talk about
You don't want to talk about work now?
Well, I mean, I do. Work is so much fun. So you want to know like the exact?
I'm just curious.
Chemistry.
I mean,
like,
I'm
the
chemistry,
active
but I was just wondering like
chemicals?
what it is, because you're saying it's like because it does that and you can do it really efficiently.
Yeah.
You could save a lot of.
You save a lot of water.
Water.
Is the main thing, and then also the drone, how it works. There's prop wash, which is the propellers are pushing down the particles, so it's so much more efficient and and effective than because there's less drift that goes on to
other
there's
things.
there's microparticles anytime you spray anything, and so sometimes those can go up into the atmosphere and to stay there for indefinitely. Yeah. Yeah, there's so much that goes into learning about this stuff, where you have to learn about like the microns and how to like what sizes work for what, the nozzles that go into it, and yeah, it's a lot more just it's so much safer because like I started out doing plant health care. Like I was essentially like a tree nurse.
I remember that. Well, like 8 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah, it feels a long time ago, but it was 5 years ago.
That was only 5 years. Oh, I thought it was
Yeah,
longer than that.
yeah, it was
Okay.
the beginning of
I guess
COVID.
because you've always felt like a tree nurse to me. You know,
Yeah.
I just always associated you with knowing everything, like
Because
wisdom of the nature world.
8 years ago, I was working at a nursery.
Okay.
And on the side, I was working there with like Ella, Elizabeth, Michaela,
Right. I remember that. Okay.
and I would do that part time. But then I was also working for my dad's construction company for like 7 years
I remember
as
that
well.
too. Yeah. So, yeah, you've always done unique jobs,
Yeah.
especially for a woman. A lot of women are not in some of the fields you've been. I'm sure you can attest to that.
Yeah,
You know?
Going to these conferences, there's like 300 men or more, and maybe like just like a handful or two of women.
Like a dozen women.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, is that just a thing of historical, just kind of like the avenues a lot of people go into, depending on where they're from, you know?
Yeah. I don't know what it is because, well, drones are new,
Okay, yeah.
but they're still, I don't know exactly, but yeah, just the working in a physical, like more manual labor job, it kind of, men are more cut out for it.
Yeah.
Really, like,
Yeah, as someone who's done every type of manual job ever, I could attest for. It's you don't realize it until you're like, oh, I got to lift this thing up, and you look at another guy that's even bigger than you, and you're like, oh, well, we could do this.
Yeah.
Versus when I would do stuff with my sister or cousin, it's like they were still young and agile and like fit, but it's just different. And obviously, that's like an average. There's always exceptions,
Yeah,
of course.
of
course.
Exactly.
But you notice it if you find yourself actually doing these things, you can see it, the obvious things. And yeah, it's brutal work. I don't think a lot of girls are raised like, hey, you should go get brutalized and like ruin your hands and like, get all cut up and hurt your back and your shoulders. Pretty much hurt your body for like 30, 40 years doing manual labor, Not that attractive.
No, I pretty much lasted like 1 year of manual labor, and
Was it the tree one?
yeah, because I was like,
That wood you got for us was so awesome.
It
The
was.
firewood that we'd go pick up was sick. Oh my God, that was great. That was all oak, right?
it was a look.
That's amazing. I mean, that's amazing.
I know what is it, slow burning, and then smells great.
Smell great for cooking.
Great for cooking,
hanging around. So it does burn very slowly.
Burns hot.
Burns
too.
very hot. So yeah, great food or great wood for cooking on. Yeah. Yeah. So what were you doing there?
That was when I was doing like the tree nurse stuff. So I was like injecting trees with stuff to prevent Dutch elm disease, and
Where does that come from? Do you know?
that comes from spores, I believe, a parasite kind of thing. And basically, like what the tree does, it starts cutting off its own limbs. Like it starts cutting off its circulation to a certain limb
Whoa.
to prevent the disease from spreading. And so it starts
Just like a human being would.
Yeah.
if you had gangrene or something in your arm, you'd cut it off.
Yeah.
Whoa. Trees are smart.
They are.
But also, like, there's probably a blowback for that, I'm sure, by doing that as a tree.
Yeah, eventually they just die because, and so the injections prevent that.
Does this come from like invasive trees,
In-
other invasive plant vegetation that the
You
trees,
know what,
like the ecosystem, it's not supposed to be in?
So I do know that the Siberian elm is resistant to this disease. So I don't really know exactly where I
Yeah.
forget exactly where Dutch Elm disease come from. Whereas like another thing that was treating for the emerald ash borer beetle as well, and that came from in pallets from China or Asia, and then it's been decimating our ash trees.
Oh
So.
my God, I didn't know that. Ash is used a lot for guitars.
Yeah, it's a beautiful wood.
Mm-hmm.
You can get such different tones from it, and then so it all came from pallets.
It happened a lot
And-
around this planet.
Yes.
A lot of commerce and shipping and logistics have destroyed ecosystems on accident, you know, or without caring. Sometimes it just didn't care, but a lot of times just an accident.
Yeah.
You know, I remember learning that about a lot of the forest preserves in the southwest suburbs where we grew up, that most of those plants are invasives. Like they're not even from there,
Oh yeah.
which is crazy.
Yeah, all that buckthorn, like pretty much all the stuff like on the lower layer
Yeah.
is invasive.
Yeah.
If it's really thick, it's invasive. Buckthorn and honeysuckle.
Honeysuckle.
Yeah.
I like pulling the honeysuckle and sucking the honey. I used to do that a lot as a kid.
Same.
It was so
love
much
that.
fun. I was like, only if I can like put this into a cup and drink it, how long will it take? You know? to,
Yeah,
like-
I've never tried to make tea from it. I used to also love picking violets and eating those as a
I've
kid
never
too.
done that.
They don't really taste like anything, but
Do you get speaking of honeysuckle, I thought of bees. Do you come across a lot of like hornets, bees, wasps when you're out there?
no, like I don't really get bothered by bugs. Actually, like the last time I got stung by a bee was when I was with Dan Tompkins, and we picked up his
Honey.
his bees from Indiana.
Okay.
And there we were. I went with him, and we. So this was I don't know how many years ago, like 7 years ago, and we went to Indiana to pick up the queens and the drones or whatever that came with it, and there was. We were in a car with 100,000 bees.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh, you were telling this story last Saturday, right?
Was I? Oh,
I don't know.
Because I mentioned zonkies.
Zonk. Yes.
Yes, I mean, we were talking about zonkies, and that's how
Yeah, this
that
was 2 weeks
story
ago. I
came
just
up.
remember hearing about 1,000 or 100,000 bees
Yes.
surrounding you, and we were all just looking like, how did you not die?
They were in their little.
What if there was a little
cages.
opening and they
But
got out?
They did.
Oh.
Yeah. So there was like most of them are in their little cages, but then there's like probably like 20 that got out and in the car.
So there's 20 bees flying around the cab of the car.
Yeah, and what happened is I got stung. It was my fault. I sat on a bee. Like, yeah.
What about the other 19 bees? They didn't sting you?
No, they're
I'm glad you're saying this because people need to hear it more. I've been stung by a bee too many times to count. Been stung by a lot of stuff. Bees, especially bees around here, are nothing. They are nothing. The sting feels like the weakest little tiny shot you got in your arm, and it burns for like a second and it's gone. It is the fear and the anxiety of it is more scary for people than actually getting stung.
Yeah.
And obviously you don't want to get stung in like your eyes and face, but most of the time you'll get stung on your hands, arms, butt, legs. Like when you
Yeah.
touch things, your face usually isn't touching things. But if you don't do that, most bees, if you just kind of like walk away, close your eyes, don't be aggressive, and even don't be like fearful. I think they can smell all of that.
Oh yeah. One of my friends, I was out with her on a walk, and she's like, "Hey, look at this." She's started petting a bee, and then I'm like, oh, "Okay, I can do that." And I was petting these bees
This
too.
is such a Leah story. We were petting bees one day.
Yeah. And since then, I've been like, when bees land on me, I'll just let them be, or
Let the bees be.
let them. Yeah.
That makes
Bees
perfect
be.
sense that you're able to pet bees. Yeah, I think because they can sense that you have such a kind and peaceful, loving soul that they're like, oh, we don't want to mess with her. The only time they sting you is when you like sit on them. And
Yeah.
they had no choice.
Yeah. No choice. Yeah, I didn't give that bee a choice in that matter.
I can see a lot of species and animals being pleasant around you. I really think a lot of things can pick up on how someone's behaving, just like we can. You know, it's the same thing, and they do it too, just in different ways.
Totally.
You know, I'm not too sure exactly how, but you can just tell. You know,
Yeah.
you can see it in, especially like dogs, like really smart animals, or, you know, probably chimpanzees and stuff. But dogs seem to, you know, understand like who's good, who's bad, who should be on your property, who shouldn't. They just know somehow.
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
Yeah, dogs are definitely the biggest risk with my job too.
Dogs are.
Yeah.
Oh, because the chemicals?
No, because like you can be out and there's
Oh, you just mean a
dogs,
dog,
just
a
like
wild dog just got
yeah,
loose and is just out.
yeah, wild dogs out. Well, yeah, like my closest call for work one day was when I was in an alley in Chicago, and I was inspecting some power lines back there, and this gate flew open, and there's 8 pit bulls that
Oh
came
my
running out
God.
into this alley. And luckily, I was right by my truck and got into the truck right away because you never
8
know,
pit bulls in an alley in Chicago
right?
running at you?
And not at
Just came, they're
they
kind
were
of,
just like got out this gate and they were just running like
yeah, that could kill you.
yeah.
But on your own, 8 of them would totally take out
Oh
anyone.
sure, yeah,
Anyone, yeah. That's terrifying.
yeah.
Yeah, the dog is in Chicago, especially where I live. Yeah, they're no joke. I see some wild dogs.
And people like that's literally the animal that people get killed by the most.
Yeah, because it's just like the person you're most likely to get murdered by or something. Is usually like a family member or spouse,
Yeah.
people close to you. Same thing with the dog. I've seen dogs snap on people. You don't expect it. Bite their hand, bite their face. And you're like, oh, I thought he was a good dog. Sometimes
Yeah.
you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things I've seen while working under the power lines, it was in Florida. I saw an endangered Florida panther.
Whoa, this last time you were there?
Not the last
Okay.
time, but yeah.
When was this?
This was maybe like 2 years ago.
You saw a panther?
Yeah.
I've never seen one down there. I've been there a bunch. And never
There's
seen
only
one.
like 250 in the wild.
In all of Florida or
Yeah,
all of America?
all of Florida.
Okay.
Because they have a different, it's like a different species, breed of
Okay.
panther or cougar than the
I
regular
never
ones.
understand what is the difference between a panther, a cougar, a jaguar, a mountain lion.
I think they're all the same thing.
Just different
They're
like
just
variations
different
depending on where they've
variations.
been
Yeah.
located for a while, just like humans.
Yeah, like a mountain lion and a cougar are usually like the exact same thing, whereas
Okay.
like this Florida panther, it has a lot of the cougar mountain lion in it, but because there was like only 70 left in the wild at a certain point, so they had to like bring in the mountain lion into Florida to help. But
So they can breed.
yeah, so they can breed. But the Florida panther has like has never attacked a human, whereas like the mountain lion, they
I
will.
wonder why. Maybe the Florida
Yeah.
panther has a lot of food because there's so
Yeah.
much animal and vegetation. Like so many animals down there.
Yeah.
South Florida is insane with animals.
It
so, man, they
is.
just have so much food that they don't have to go after humans. Or maybe because they're so embedded in the deep swamps and stuff that they just don't see a lot of humans. So they don't get used to them. So if they do see them, they get freaked out. Whereas the ones that get used to humans get closer to them. A lot of, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where like in LA, you hear about
Yeah.
mountain lion attacks because there's so many people everywhere. The lions get used to it.
Yeah.
Like the coyotes in Chicago now. I'm not sure if you see them around. I see them all the time.
I have seen, yeah.
I'll see them by the park that I walk at. Mm-hmm. Probably once a week, I'll see a coyote.
By the lake. I've seen some in Lincoln Park before too. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see that video that went viral of the one that was in like a Mariano's in Chicago?
Oh, that was in Chicago. I saw
It was
that
in
video.
Chicago. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I thought like it was gonna be one of those videos where when like they pull the thing out, when they pull the animal out or whatever it is, the screen goes to like got you like a scream face or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought it was like a joke video, and a coyote just gets yanked out of like the cold section of like where the eggs and cheese are or whatever.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
god! It must have got into like a back door during shipment or something. You
That
know,
makes sense.
I doubt he just walked right through the the revolving door or something in the front. But I guarantee that came in when the door docks were open for shipping.
Yeah, they're pretty wily.
That's how most things get in.
Yeah.
So the job that you did with the trees, we kind of went on a long tangent. You were injecting trees
I
to
was
help them.
injecting trees. Yeah.
And what were some of the more like heavy duty stuff you had to do, or more physical part of that job?
The most physical part was that I would be dragging a hose throughout backyards, so like hundreds of feet because there were some pretty big backyards, and then I would be spraying trees too. So it kind of like goes into the drone stuff. Like I used to be like getting dripped on with these pesticides
Oh,
before.
really?
Yeah, and now so the drone, I'm like, okay, I can really appreciate that.
So you
It's
used to actually get in contact with the pesticides like on your skin and stuff?
yeah,
Did it affect you feeling the effects of that?
effects. No, we'll have to wait and see.
Could you be just youth? You're young and you did it and healthy, so you don't really, you know what I mean? Like when you do drugs when you're young and healthy, you don't notice all the effects. It takes like 30, 40 years for it to kind of kick in. Yeah, it's probably something like that. But that's just living in this city right now. The air I have to breathe in, the soil. You can't plant on the soil.
The water.
That's why I have that nice lead filtration for the Brita. It's like a nicer lead. It's like lead filter, and it filters out a bunch of stuff. I think chlorine, lead, fluoride, bunch of stuff, other rare earth minerals or rare metals, heavy metals. But it's like $50 for the filter. And it tastes way better. It tastes completely different. You could taste how much it does it, but it's scary. It makes me wonder, like, how could I live in a city forever? I love cities. I love the food, the culture, the music, the art, the architecture, and the people, the religious groups, just everything you get to see versus when you're in the middle of nowhere. But it's just like disgusting sometimes.
Yeah.
The air, the water.
Well, back in the day, doctors used to prescribe, country time, sun time, and
I'm lucky I do get that just like you do.
yeah,
I
yeah.
go on a lot of trips, camping, go to Winona a lot. I do get to leave. Going down to ISU is a big one. When I open my door when I leave from here to there, I could taste the difference in the air when I open my door and breathe down there versus breathing in here. Like when I go out to go to work in the morning in Chicago versus being down there when I arrive to teach. It's like a different airflow and different
I believe
cleanliness.
that, and we're very lucky to have the lake here too. To
Help clean some stuff up.
Yeah, it does.
Making sure we don't have a full like northwest east side of Chicago. That would be another million people living here.
Oh my gosh, or mountains to trap all the smog in and stuff like that.
Yes, we do get it because we have these open, massive plains. We do get weather systems and air that could flow through without being trapped too much. I think so. At least it feels
Yeah.
that way. But we get a lot of crazy weather because of it. You know,
Yeah.
crazy wind and polar vortexes and stuff.
Yeah, just the other night I saw green lightning for the first time.
Whoa.
Have you ever seen
No,
green
what is
lightning?
that?
I don't know.
Oh, I thought there was like a scientific explanation you had.
It was just green.
Just green.
Green. I didn't look up the science. I should have.
So you had chemicals dripping on you, dragging these big hoses. I can get us right back on track. You're dragging these big hoses, and they weigh a lot
They
over
wait
distance.
a lot, and then I was also fertilizing the trees too, and other parts of the job times of the year because working with trees is very seasonal. Like you have to. Now's the time to plant. Now's the time to sow. Like kind of thing. So. And there was times where I would be fertilizing and I would be stabbing the ground like thousands of times in a day because injecting fertilizer into the drip line or the essentially you're underneath the trees and where the roots are.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is exhausting. And in the summer in the heat too.
Oh my gosh, I would come home and I just need to lay on the ground.
And what they don't tell you about it is you still always have to be fully covered if you want your skin and limbs to not die
Yeah.
from all the gashes and the thorns and the this and the tree bark.
Yeah, I was.
You know what I mean?
Full sleeves, hard hat.
So you can't even you're soaking wet, even if it's not that hot out, because you're not like you're completely enclosed for safety reasons. You got to protect your body. Gloves, boots, steel toe boots, maybe.
Yeah, those showers at
Right?
the end of the day
Did
were
you wear
so.
steel toe boots?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
You have to.
Those are heavy too.
Yeah, and they're extra heavy, and if it's cold, they make your feet freezing because the steel's surrounding your toes. The weakest part of your circulation system, your little tiny toes, have steel just pressing on them.
My tiny toes can't handle.
Yeah,
the
for
cold.
those who've never had to deal with steel toe boots in like negative 20 degrees because you're working.
Yeah.
Actually, when it got that cold, you're not supposed to wear them because it's too cold on your toes.
Yeah, actually, so I've had like minor frostbite on my toes before because I have like poor circulation in my toes, and so when it came to winter, I was like, I can't be dragging brush through the snow all winter. I had to talk to the management, and that's how I switched over to the forestry job. around where I was inspecting the power lines around Chicago from the tree nursing job.
Wow. So you did it. You say you did it for like a year.
A year, yeah.
It's hard,
It was like,
and you did it at like a pretty solid, like healthy age too. You know.
Yeah, it was like I had just turned 30
Yeah.
at that time.
And you've always been, healthy.
Yes.
So yeah, the circulation thing, I hear that a lot. It's probably has to do with the iron, and probably being what happens with ladies every month. Probably has to do with that. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
And no, men don't deal with that, so they don't think about it much.
Right.
It's rare I hear any guy go like, I like bad circulation. Even close friends who would feel comfortable talking about it. You might be like cold just because you might be like don't have a lot of fat or muscle in your body, but that's different from like, oh, I have like anemia or bad circulation.
Well, I'm just cold all the time.
Most of my friends seem to be cold in my house all the time, no matter who you are.
Yeah, you're a hot bear. Like
I
you
know it's a
always...
problem. I mean, I would take off my socks, right now, but yeah, like last night, it was like 54 degrees out, and I saw that it was going to get down to like 47 at night, and so I was like, oh, I'll just turn off my heat. I don't need heat because the heat will rise to my third story where I sleep. And it did, and I was not cold or hot the whole night. It probably got down to 60. I like to sleep at 60 degrees, 61. That's the only time I can get under a blanket.
No, I prefer 74.
When you sleep?
Yeah.
I couldn't. What? 74?
It's like ideal for me.
You spent too much time with elderly people.
The elderly people?
That's a grandma temperature. You were like 30, 40 years too young for that. Maybe like 30 years.
Yeah.
It's bittersweet. You thrive more in the summer here. I'm miserable sometimes in the summer. I don't really enjoy past 80 degrees. I'm just sweating the whole time. I have to be in the shade. I have to have a lot of water, otherwise I'm just grouchy because it's just too hot. I could see where a lot of like the Eastern and like Northern European blood I have came from. So I was just handling cold so easily. Could be metabolism too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so you went from you did that for a year. Then you said something. You went to Chicago working on power lines.
Yeah, and inspecting the power lines and so that was really fascinating as far as like because my background is I went to school for sociology
At DePaul, I remember.
Yeah, and so like seeing different socioeconomic situations throughout the whole Chicago area, from like Wisconsin down to Kankakee and throughout all of Chicago, it really impacted me. It was just so interesting to see like which people met me with more kindness, and which ones were rude or people would yell at me.
What's the consensus? Your anecdotal consensus?
That people from the south side of Chicago, where we're from, are the nicer people.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
I knew that was the answer. It was more of a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
I've also, not done what you've done, but I've had enough of the socioeconomic experiences from hanging out at insane places I don't even know how I'm at to, living the way I've lived, the people I've worked with, the friends I have, going to homeless shelters as a kid, like all these things, like, oh my God. Yeah, I think you and I strike me as people who've always kind of seen it, been aware of that stuff, more than some people will even admit,
Yeah, and it's interesting to think of like now we live in a time where there's so many mental struggles, and like so your socioeconomic, like what you have financially does impact that, but then also the people who have more wealth are impacted in some other ways too. So like, why would they be less kind? What else is happening in their lives that prevents them from connecting, which I think is one of the greatest parts of being human, is connecting with others. And yeah.
I mean, there are plenty of wealthy folks that are nice and genuine and good, but they're fewer far in between compared to everyone else I've ever met.
Yeah.
It's probably just it's simple psychology, entitlement, high threshold of like having all their needs met because they're used to it. You know, all these things.
Yeah,
add up.
It's the entitlement, definitely.
It adds up. You start to, because you make so much money, you really start to convince yourself you're better than someone else. People tell you that your whole life, you know, everyone says yes, like, oh, because you're a billionaire, people keep telling you, like, oh, you're great, you're doing good. But no, money's not the best measurement for a good person at all.
No, people forget that we're all just the same, and
we're all gonna die.
One, and we're all gonna
die sooner rather than later. Trust me.
Yeah,
you know, yeah. And you worked in was that volunteer work or work when you worked in that field dealing with elderly
people? So that was what I went to school for. It was like a sociology with a focus on gerontology, because I always loved my elders. And
same.
They're just
the best people in the world.
They are. And
so much fun.
They're so much fun, and you can be so goofy with people with dementia. Like they just like.
That's a funny like one-liner joke right there. Just going open like, you know what? You can be goofy with people with dementia.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Do tell. Elaborate on that.
It's just there's people kind of revert to their basic self in some ways, and so. And like, how can I make this person's day a little bit brighter is like, you know, right? Being a little goofier, like putting on fun music, dancing, and
they tend to be a lot more free because a lot of the stuff in life has gone away.
Yeah.
Like the busyness of life, the schedules, the work, you know. A lot of their friends or people are not around anymore, you know, or siblings. Their parents aren't, you know, these people are maybe 80, 90.
Yeah.
So it seems like they kind of, my favorite thing is when they go back to just, being themselves and let down their guard because they realize it doesn't matter, because you eventually realize that, hopefully.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's intentional, or even sometimes it's necessary to let down your guard, because you're also like caring for them essentially like a baby, you know, all their bodily and human needs as well. So you have to bring some like lightness into the situation. It makes things better.
What would you do with them? Just hang out, talk,
and talk, like cook and eat food, or try to eat food. So there's a lot of people when they have dementia, they lose their taste buds.
Oh my God!
So they pretty much can only like taste sugar.
Oh my God!
They want to eat sugar all the time.
This explains why so many old folks love sugar.
Yes,
they love it.
Yeah.
Isn't it a thing that happens with a lot of older folks? Like their taste buds get shot anyway.
Yeah,
from a lifetime of probably toxic stuff we've been eating, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know. Eventually you want sugar.
They had less toxic
they
stuff.
Did.
So
they had other
who
stuff.
Knows
they had like
CFCs
and lead in the paint and lead in the gas. And they had weird medications that weren't fully figured out. You know, a lot more like testing and messing with the public without enough data like we have more now. Yeah, in ways they had healthier stuff, in other ways they didn't, you know.
Yeah.
Like the weird stuff that would be like, there'd be lead in certain kid toys in the 50s and 60s, you know? Stuff like that. Yeah, we don't have that stuff anymore. But then we have all these plastics and they didn't.
Right.
You know, so it's like.
We're going to find out.
We're all finding out what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's constantly changing, constantly fluctuating. And that's also something that's fun about being around people or elders, too, is they have so much more perspective about those things, and
about everything.
Yeah, yeah. My grandma is the best for that. Like, she is the most cultured person I know.
Based on how you describe it, I don't think I've met her, but I don't think so. But based on how you talk about it, I'm like, who is this person?
Yeah, she was supposed to be at Hanukkah with us when you came over, but she didn't make it that year.
That was fun.
Yeah,
my first Hanukkah was with you and your family. Yeah. That was so fun. I didn't know what to expect. And then we played that fun game, and I realized I think some of us, I didn't know that I was playing wrong when I was playing it.
Yeah.
I was like moving stuff the wrong way. I was like, I think I'm playing this right.
Yeah. Well, my brother's friend from Mongolia was there too. And she was barely speaking
everyone was from around the world there. Very eclectic group. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. And then also you had there was Hannah there too, who's been on
Who
this
was
podcast too.
like a year and a half ago or so. Yeah. Yeah, your stepsister. That's
Yeah.
so crazy. I had no idea she was your stepsister. This world has gotten so small
Yeah.
for us both and for everyone,
Right?
I think it's the internet. It made it really small.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's how my mom met Al. So
Oh, really?
yeah, the
Yeah.
internet. So it's connecting people.
It does. That's most of the people I work with. Mostly it's through the internet. Yeah. Yeah. But that before those days, though, we met the old fashioned way, just high school parties or hangouts. That was always fun. Yeah, that probably doesn't happen as much as it used to.
No.
No, I don't hear or see teenagers in backyards having fires or running around town in groups like I did with my friends. I don't know what's going on, but I don't see it,
Yeah. From what I've read, there's like teenagers don't really drink as much anymore too because they're not having parties.
That's probably overall net positive.
Oh, yeah.
I was around a lot of my friends who were drinking. Why I didn't drink for so long was just seeing how everyone else was behaving, which was not good.
Not good.
And the secret, for kids, if you are feeling like, should I drink, should I not? If you ever don't really want to, just go to a high school party where everyone is drinking and you're not, and hang out the whole time. And by the end of it, you'll be like, okay, I think I'm making the right decision for me right now in my life.
And more people are realizing that it just adds to social anxiety
It
more
makes
than
things
it
worse
really
in the long run.
It
helps right in that moment, but the next day it just
the
builds.
next day. Oh, yeah. It was
worst.
like, what did I do?
What did I do? The thing I don't like, I enjoy a good drink once in a while, but the thing I don't like about that or too much drugs or just too much of anything is not having the memories of life, Every time I'm sober, I remember almost everything, like photographic memory. And every time I'm not, I'm like, what would happen? Like, I remember, like, the general idea of last night. Like, people came over and we, like, talked for a couple hours, but, like, I barely remember the stories that we shared. I barely remember, like, the conversations outside. Like, it all starts to melt. But if you do the whole night completely sober, go to bed early, wake up, have a good night's sleep, you'll recall a good chunk of, like, what made that night so much fun and, like, why it really sticks in your head and how you learn something about the conversation you had, But it sucks because alcohol is fun. It's just, it is, but it's dangerous.
Enjoyed in moderation, definitely.
Yeah. So, when eventually did you get into the job that you're doing now?
Oh, so that story I feel like started in 2018. I was driving out to California to work on a farm.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And so while I was driving out there, so Pat and I drove out to Seattle, and he flew back from Portland and to go back to work, and I continued on the drive. And between Portland and where I was going in Mendocino County, there was a lot of areas that were burned by the car fire, which took out mountains and mountains. So they were all black. I've never seen anything like this.
A car fire happened and it burned down.
It was called the car fire. I think it was started from a spark of some sort of like a car brake or something like that. And so it was just
charred.
Wow. Mountains and mountains, all in the Shasta County. And I was left like seeing that. It really left a mark on me, and I'm thinking, how can I make a difference here? Like I had planted probably about 1,000 trees at that point by hand.
Whoa!
And it's hard. That's manual labor. That's hard work.
How big are the trees that you planted?
They're called seedlings, so they're pretty small. So you just there's like one guy in front of me. He has his dibbler and stabs it into the ground, and then opens up the ground. I come behind, I throw the tree in, and with my little dibbler, close it up.
Are you doing a lot? Are you hunched over a lot for that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what makes it hard.
Yeah,
to hunch over.
And that you're doing like hundreds in a day. So like that 1,000, that was done in a week.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
5 days.
Yeah.
So 200 a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ouch.
So,
how many hours each day?
Ooh, long hours.
12?
Probably
10?
12 hours. Yeah. Early, like sun up to sunset.
Don't you sleep kind of well, though.
Yeah, definitely.
The problem with that, too, if you do manual labor a lot, is, the first 5 years you sleep well, and then eventually you're not sleeping well because your body's so messed up that the rejuvenation isn't happening quite the same because you're getting older. And now you're aching and awake or not, and sleeping doesn't really heal it the way it used to,
Yeah.
I miss when we were really young and you would get banged up from like working hard all day and you go to sleep, you wake up, you feel great. You're like 18, 19, you did all that labor or something. It's not the same anymore.
No, it doesn't hit the same, that manual labor. Yeah.
Sometimes I miss doing some of it, and sometimes I'm
Sure.
grateful for everyone who does do it. Like I appreciate it more than any job, so much more than any important job. I look out for the people making society run.
Yeah, I really appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, so I saw all these trees or these mountains that were burned, and I thinking, how can I make a difference here? And at that time too, I had recently read a book called One Straw Revolution, and went to a permaculture design course. And the permaculture design is like where you're learning about agriculture and gardening and sustainable living practices. And so a takeaway from that was this concept of seed balls, or seed bombs. And it's a seed that you cover in a coat of clay, some sort of fiber like coconut coir, and compost. And so I'm like, oh, you could drop seed balls in the area. And then actually drones could be the thing to do this. But I kind of simplified it. I continued on with my travels and came back home and did a series of school assemblies with Ella and her and the principal at the Burbank school systems here in Chicago.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was so much fun. It was so interesting to see how many of these kids had like never touched dirt before.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Never touched dirt?
Yeah, a lot of the kids are like...
It's like Kid 101 is you're supposed to consume dirt and scrub it into all your nooks and crannies. Like,
no.
What?
I know.
That's so depressing.
I was digging holes back when I was a kid. That was
my first big
favorite
project was trying to build an underground fort. There's a big hole in my old forest behind the DZ from my attempt at building an underground fort when I was like 8. It's just a big hole, dirt everywhere. Didn't turn out well because there's roots in a forest,
Yeah. My sister and I had the same thing. We would just go out in the forest and dig a hole and then pick the grubs and put them under our little grub rock. And
this is why kids need to grow up with at least some yard and trees and forests. Every kid.
Yeah.
Or a combination of like something like that, or at least very close to it. A place they can go do that stuff. Every kid, you give a kid a shovel and a hammer or something, they'll have fun forever. Just don't hurt yourself, but
Yeah. And it gives you a sense of accomplishment, saying like, I dug this hole like 5 more inches today, which felt like a lot when you're a little kid.
Especially when you hit the clay,
yes.
which is all over where we live. So much clay.
Yeah, sometimes my dad would come out to the hole and
it sounds like an outhouse. Sometimes my dad had to go out to the hole in the backyard.
He'd come in with a shovel and he'd just like get so deep and we'd be like, oh,
mind blown.
Yes, mind blown.
And he was probably in his 30s then or something.
Yeah,
super healthy, just digging fast.
Yeah,
you guys like, oh my god. Yeah, when you're a kid, your dad is like Superman.
He is.
You can't understand like the average just like male upper body strength. Like it doesn't make sense when you're 5. No matter what, you're like, whoa, they can do anything.
He accomplished in like 10 minutes what it took us hours to do.
Yeah, I know. I remember like my Uncle Steven, when I would do jobs with him or watch him build when I was a little kid, he'd like lift like beams over his head, and I literally thought he was like the Hulk.
Yeah.
Fast forward, I've lifted so much heavier stuff when I would like build DZ Fest, and all the wood and all the beams I would hold and like everything I did. I'm like, oh, it makes sense. He was just like a young, active like construction worker, like he's just fit. That's all it was. But it seemed I can't believe he's lifting up like a 4x4 that probably weighs, 80 pounds. How is he doing that? It's insane. Yeah, when you try to do it as a kid, you can't even like get it off the grass, and they're doing it with like one arm.
Yeah, yeah.
So funny how that is. Yeah, you get older, you're like, oh, it's just a lot of people could do that. Oh man, so was that the first time you went to like kind of guest speak in a school?
Yeah, yeah, that was my first time. I like with the help of Kristen, the principal, and Ella, like they helped, and Pat also was a big help on that as well.
Right.
We put together a presentation, and I went around and got the materials donated to the event,
Wow.
and overall taught like 1,000 kids.
Whoa.
Yeah, between because it was
All
a
the
couple
classes.
different schools. Yeah,
Yeah.
in the school assemblies, and then the seeds that I had bought were all California native seeds to be sent out to this area in Shasta County. So the seeds totaled to be like 100,000 seeds that we sent out to Shasta County, and I got in contact with some science teachers out at the high school, and they were able to take their high school kids and throw these seed balls
It's just everywhere.
everywhere.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, I hope they had lots of fun
That's
doing
cool.
that.
You should have went out. They should have flown you out there for that.
Or-
To throw seed balls everywhere with the kids.
Well, at least they sent me before pictures and after pictures.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And what did it look like before? What did it look like after?
It was like all burned before, and then after it was you could see the species of the wildflowers that is growing like
How long was the after photo?
The after was maybe like 5 months later.
Okay.
Because it was done in the right season as well too.
Okay.
Like,
it just takes time.
yeah, it
Certain
does.
plants take a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
amazing though. Have you done anything like that since?
Well, COVID hit, and it kind of like
Ruined everything.
Yeah.
Mhm. No, it did.
It was hard to do. You can't do school assemblies. And
You probably could now.
probably could now.
Yeah.
But I'm just so busy.
I know.
I
It is
wish.
fun though.
It
It's so
is.
much fun when you see things engage with kids, you see it click. It's not going to be all the kids.
Yeah.
But even when you see it, 20, 40, 30% of them, that's just them right now. They might change their life because of like a person coming in and showing them this,
Mm-hmm.
And what's always really fun for like little girls is probably seeing another woman come in to talk about these kind of things,
Yeah.
That's the thing. Because a lot of guys are already going to be fine with going outside and getting dirty doing that, but it shows women, little girls at the time, that they can do it too. Anyone could do it.
Yeah, I just wanted these kids to like know the cycle of life too, like how much everything is interconnected. How these flowers help the birds, which go on to help the other animals and
The circle of life.
the circle of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, that was just a really cool experience to do that, and I think it's carried on a lot further.
Mm-hmm.
But next step, I want to do this stuff with the drone. Throw that stuff out with the drone.
How many
Or even-
seeds can it carry
It
to
can
drop?
it can carry. It depends on which drone you use.
If you use like that big transformer one,
Yeah, yeah.
it looks like a transformer.
That one could carry probably like 100 pounds. Whoa. Yeah,
That's a lot of seeds.
it's a lot of seeds. Most of them carry like about 25 pounds.
So
of
that drone
seeds.
can fly around with 100 pounds of seed in it?
Yeah.
How is it battery? Like, what is it? A gas battery? Like, what-
Battery,
battery?
yeah.
How long does it last? Like, how long can you fly around?
Not long, maybe like 10 minutes.
Oh,
but
that's
you can do a lot of.
What if it's got
Damage or good in
lightweight? Like, what if
10 minutes.
no weight's on it? Like, there isn't 100 pounds of weight. It's just no load. Could it fly like double the time or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You could do a lot of damage in 10 minutes. Sounded nefarious.
Or good. Yes.
Yeah, those things are scary. And to know that there's even way bigger drones out there on this planet.
Yeah.
Because that one was like fitting in the back of a big truck.
Mm-hmm.
It was huge.
It was. Yeah, that's a huge.
Is it loud?
Yeah, they're all very loud.
You wear hearing protection?
No.
It's not that loud.
It's not that loud.
And it leaves fast, right? It goes up and kind of sound gets away from you.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's more like the generator running all day. That's the
You should wear hearing protection.
Probably should.
I wonder, you should measure how loud it is. With like an app on your phone.
Yeah.
And then you'll know if you need it or not.
I downloaded that app
You did?
like one of the last times we were in Florida.
Oh, what I showed you?
Yeah.
It's fun. That one's good. This one's better. I have it just ready to go. My other decimeter.
Nice.
This one's more accurate, but it's just built just to do that, and has a better microphone for hearing it.
So for people who don't know, what is the level of hearing damage? Like how many decimeters?
So it depends on exposure time. How loud something is matters, of course, but that's usually extremely loud stuff. The next thing you have to worry about is how long are you exposed to it. The threshold of pain is 120 decibels. So like usually a firearm, like when you're just shooting it point blank to one of the ears, it's probably louder than that. That's dangerous. You can have hearing damage right away. But you start to be worrisome after like 85, 88 decibels, but that's like still many hours of exposure. But if you're in construction and you're on a shift where there's like mechanical stuff going in a warehouse, then even though it's like 88 decibels, doesn't matter if you're there that long, you still need hearing protection. But if you're only exposed for 15 minutes, you're fine. Or even an hour, you're fine. Or even 3 hours, you're fine, but not the 8 hours. So it really depends. You start to get the dangerous levels of time in the 90 decibel, 91, 93. Once you get to 100, you only have a few minutes of exposure time before you have hearing damage. And it gets every 3 decibels, it gets cut in half the time. So by the time you get to 120, it's 0 seconds. You have 0 time, Yeah.
Like when I first started and I was doing more of the manual labor stuff, they would come by and test everyone's hearing because a lot of the guys were working with chainsaws and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
chainsaws. Man, those are loud.
Yeah.
The old timers who used to do all construction with no hearing protection, chainsaws in the trees, strapping them on. Wow, they drank a lot for a reason and died young for a reason. And then had a lot of health issues and probably were like malnourished in so many things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys that went out west back in the day, cutting down, 20-foot diameter redwoods, going up 200-300 feet. Imagine the way the tree would sway when they'd get a big chunk off. You ever see those videos? They're so insane to watch.
Yeah, I've seen some of those.
Yeah, like the modern marvels of like the old lumberjacks that went out west in like the 1890s and 1920s. They'd all be like dancing on the logs as it's going down the river. But if you fall down, you can't. It's like falling on ice. You're done. You can't come because the logs just cover you.
Oh my god!
As they're going down the river, So if you fall in between them, because they had guys with like big sticks to break up the log jams, and they're just like bouncing and running around all the logs. It almost looks funny because it's like fast framing because it's like 1920. Video.
Yeah.
But if a guy falls in between the logs, done. It's like falling under the ice on a river. Like you're
But worse because like how do you
you
get out
can't
of
get
that?
through that. You can't even break through it. Like you might be able to with ice. You can't break through logs. They're too heavy. They weigh thousands of pounds each. I don't know if they probably don't do it like that at all anymore.
No, OSHA would not.
OSHA. OSHA doesn't know what they don't know though. They can't stop what they can't see.
Yeah, but if people would definitely die from that still.
Oh my god, yeah. You deal with a lot of OSHA.
Not too much. Like I never had any accidents and stuff like that. So.
That's good. No accidents in all your endeavors. Nothing.
Well, some. There was some. There was one time I landed a drone and it was out. I was working out in the mountains in California, and I landed this drone on the side of the road. But this person came and took a really wide turn. I was like 5 feet away from the drone, and they clipped it, like they hit the drone, and so yeah, that one.
But it's just their car.
It was just a
just a
car and just a drone.
So two man-made machines that have no feelings. That's good.
Right.
Okay. Well, insurance covers that then.
Yeah, as long as people, no one's hurt.
I'm talking about real accidents, like
real
my
accidents?
pinky's gone, like real accidents or gashes
Never.
or concussions or falls or broken this,
I've never had like anything like that happen to
No
me.
wonder why you're so happy. No wonder why you're so peaceful.
Yeah, it never happens to me.
That's the big difference I've noticed between when you grow up with boys and girls and then you talk to them when they get older, our age, and you talk about like the crazy stories you did when you were younger and all the injuries. Almost every guy I know has got like crazy injuries, this, that, and every girl's like, No, not much. I was like, I forgot you guys don't do all the dumb, like you guys just don't do dumb stuff. You'll still do something that's dangerous, but you like think it through. Women are just so much better at that. They just are. It's a compliment.
Yeah,
You
even
should be happy you don't have injuries. You should be happy you're not gonna have arthritis in a wrist because you shattered it longboarding at 20 like I did. You know what I mean?
when you're learning about flying drones and getting your drone certification, it's on the test of they ask you about machismo. Yeah. So basically
Really?
that mentality is like highly concerning.
It's so concerning.
Yes.
So much injury is hubris on a men's part. To me, if it's a woman who's getting injured, it's just like a straight up accident. It's just like you can't account for anomalies. When it's a guy, you're like, well, what did he do? What safety protocols did he not follow? What hard hat was he not wearing? You know, well, he threw out his safety goggles, didn't wear gloves, you know, whatever it is. He's trying to lift. You're supposed to ask for help if you lift over 70 pounds, and he didn't ask for help and popped his back. That's what I did, you know? Stupid stuff. Yeah, in hindsight, it's like, yeah, I would ask that person to help me move the box. Who cares that I had to ask? It's just ego. Young youth, you do feel pretty invincible when you're a young, like, man. It's a weird headspace.
Yeah.
You know, you saw what I would do, those trees I would climb. I don't do that anymore. I didn't realize how dangerous it was.
I never climbed that tree.
I did it. I do it backwards with my eyes closed in my underwear. I mean, I was insane.
That cottonwood is so tall. I cannot believe you guys.
115 feet. And
Yeah.
I'd get up to its tippy top and hang out up there and just look at the skyline, sunset with all the glass glowing orange. It was so cool.
I really wanted to, but
I'm glad you did.
I didn't. I couldn't. Because
The more people who went up there, the more injuries or death I would have had
Yeah.
in my life. So I'm glad that it wasn't that many. It's like 12 people ever went up there.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. No, I learned a lot. I learned about safety from that. I learned about my life. I almost died so many times.
I know.
times.
Oh my gosh. Even just going to the dentist, you've almost.
Yeah, that dentist. Oh, God, I hate that doctor. I want to punch him in his forehead for what he did to me.
Oh my God.
I'm serious, too.
Yeah.
And he retired, and I can't find him.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah, he retired. I wonder why he retired. Maybe because he left a hole in my mouth while I was sleeping. Too much Novocaine, turns out, can make your throat muscles not work well, and you could start choking on anything, your own saliva. Yeah, it's crazy.
Did you so when you've had these close calls, have you ever had like what the people would describe as a near-death experience?
No, there's a really, really awful pain well, it depends on the kind of close call, because there's ones where you see it coming. Those are the worst. There are ones that you don't see coming, and then there's ones you go into, like a surge or something, and you're like, you don't expect, like one of those horror stories you hear about people's experiences, like, oh, that's not me. And then the last thing you expect is to wake up prematurely and blood is everywhere and you can't breathe, and there's a tube in your throat and everyone's freaking. They like woke you up while you're supposed to be under because you're bleeding out and choking to death, and they don't know why. But I think it's because they did too much Novocaine. And I couldn't find any paperwork on it, so I couldn't sue or anything. Statute of limitations, 2 years. But that's what it's like when you're poor. Poor people don't sue. If I was rich, I would have sued. It would have been easy. I would have been able to hire a lawyer who would do all the work for me that I don't understand how to do. The paperwork stuff is so confusing. You know, proving it, all this stuff. You have to go through how much cc of whatever Novocaine did they inject, and then at which point, and how did that affect his throat? You know, all that stuff that you need a medical doctor, professional, and a lawyer who specializes in that. You know, two things I don't have money for, so them's the breaks.
Man.
But a great story. You know,
You could have
when you
funded
survive, the stories are always the best. I love almost dying. The stories are great. Sounded insane.
Yeah, definitely.
It makes for an interesting life.
It
just does.
because it makes you appreciate that we're the how life is so finite.
Oh my God, so much. I mean, the amount of I've had to jump in front of 2 cars while living here while walking.
I know it was all in the same day.
Same day, same witness. I'm like, is that an angel? Is that what they look like?
Jeez.
Same guy witnessed me twice. I almost get ran over by 2 separate cars. Yeah, I had to jump out of the way. One of my straight up dove onto the blacktop, like running, because he was almost clipped me, and I had jumped around, got my phone, zoomed in really closely, took a screenshot of the license plate. It was a CTA van. Went on the C2 website, made a formal complaint. about it, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was stolen. They just were flying through stop signs. It felt stolen or something. Abnormal driving. Really, but what's really scary is I'm like very agile and fast. What if it was like a little kid, a little girl walking
Yeah.
across through their grandma? I see that everywhere. They're
Yeah.
done, dude. They're
Yeah.
oh, death.
Yeah.
So be
Aware-
careful driving out there.
Awareness is like the key to safety.
Yeah, and I think at a young age, men are just so stubborn and have a lot of hubris, a lot of machismo, whatever it is, across many different societies. It probably has something to do with just their biology, the chemicals, and just always being allowed to behave that way. It's like they marry together and create little male monsters, and they all get hurt or go to jail or something crazy. All the women are just like, you guys what are you doing? Why are you behaving like this?
Oh my gosh. I
Smart.
used to have this coworker, and he was getting involved in the gangs when he was like 15, 16.
Oh, wow.
And so what his dad did was to get him out of that situation, he sent him to join the military in Mexico.
What?
I know.
That sounds rough.
Like, here, son, this...
So he was Mexican.
Yeah.
And his dad was, and he was,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Where was he living?
The Marquette
Chicago?
Park
Okay.
area.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Did he go to Mexico?
yeah, he was in Mexico
How
for
did you know
2
this person?
years. We worked together at the nursery where...
Oh, so he told you the story after?
Yeah, after
And what
he came
happened
back.
while he was there?
He was shot twice.
What?
Yeah.
Did his dad feel bad after sending him to Mexico?
Right.
Oh my, he got shot twice?
He did.
From
Yeah.
like fightings, like cartel?
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah, luckily both times in the leg. Actually, I had a couple coworkers that got shot at that job.
what?
Too. One guy was shot. He was inside his house at home, and there was a drive-by. And
Oh my God.
yeah,
Chicago as well?
yeah.
Wait, same people who were working at the
At the garden center where I was working
garden center in Orland. Was that in Orland?
in Worth.
Worth.
Yeah.
Okay. And what were you doing at the garden center?
Just slinging plants.
Slinging
taking-
plants.
yeah,
So is it
taking
like
care of plants.
peaceful?
Yeah.
You think that's why
It was
people go there after they get shot?
Right.
Right.
Well, one was like after his Mexican military experience, and the other one was just at home one day, and
You get shot, go plant some flowers. It'll make you feel
yeah,
more grateful that you're alive,
yeah. But the guy Danny is his name that went to Mexico. He told me that when they would be bleeding, they'd find spider webs, and you'd put the spider webs on your cut, and the spider webs would allow the blood to like kind of like congeal and clot up and
Really?
scab up, faster.
And that's like there's no sanitation issues with that. Like it doesn't, you have to worry about any type of diseases doing that.
I
I don't know.
don't know. Like,
I mean, there are some interesting organic, natural ways of healing stuff, but I wonder, like,
you probably you probably don't want to use like dirty cobwebs.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I
Like
also
a
know how
clean
filthy
spider web.
insects can be. I mean, they're at the bottom on the earth, picking up, like, they
Yeah.
can have diseases and stuff. It's like, do I really want that web in my wound? Yeah. But there's interesting, natural ways to heal stuff. All kinds.
Yeah.
I know you're on that.
Oh my gosh.
So much. I'm like, I don't know half the stuff you're talking about.
My
You should drink this. It's Uncle, Warts Wilson. And you're like, what? And you're like, yeah, if you drink it, it'll calm this thing. And you're like, what? You're always handing me tea, like, drink this. I'm like, all right.
My favorite one is I love to talk about one time there's this common weed we have called plantain. Not the banana. It's like a little tiny weed that grows in the ground. And Plantago major is the scientific name if people want to find that. But it helps with like inflammation and pain. And so if you have like a bad bee sting or a bad bug bite, you can take this plant and chew it and put it on that. It takes away the pain in seconds.
Really?
It's crazy.
What's it called again?
Plantain.
You could just chew on it and it takes away. It's like
You spit it on too.
so you have to like it, maybe your spit activates it or something?
Because like you could even take a mortar and pestle, but you don't have a
Okay.
mortar and pestle out.
Wow.
Yeah,
How do people discover this? Thousands of years of trial and error.
yeah. It's from Europe, but it's not an invasive plant because it works symbiotic with the natural world here in North America. So
Okay.
it
Have you
is
ever
called.
done this before? You ever
Yeah.
try it? You done it?
Oh, okay. So I've had so many, like, what I would say, miracle healings with this plant
Really?
because one time I lost my voice and I had a terrible sore throat and terrible earache. And I'm like, oh, I had just came back from camping. So I figured it was something like allergies. And so instead of going to the doctor, I found the plantain growing out in my yard and created a tea with it, held it up to my ear, and my ear pain went away
What?
like instantly.
So the vapor or the steam
The
from the
steam,
tea? No way.
yes.
Whoa.
And then I drank it, and my voice came back in less than 3 minutes. I couldn't.
You don't lie, Leah. You're an honest person.
Yes.
What?
I wish I made a video.
Are there more? Is there any more research and information on this? Like, would you be able to find this type of stuff
Yeah.
in like a scientific journal, or would it be just like Wikipedia?
There's a lot out there about this particular herb weed.
Just Big Pharma doesn't want it getting out.
Right.
Then their aspirin
Right.
market will drop, and ibuprofen market will drop.
Well, aspirin is also made from willow trees.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, it's an organic. Well, part of it is an organic compound. The other stuff in it, who knows?
yeah.
I doubt a little white pill comes out of a willow tree. There are so many natural remedies. I mean, even tea. Like, you have a toothache, drink some tea. It'll just it'll soothe, warm up the gums, kind of loosen stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it is sad that there are a good amount of healthy organic ways to heal stuff. Vinegar, red vinegar, honey, organic honey. I have used that so many times on like a pimple or like something like that. It'll go away,
yeah.
and like when you wake up, it's gone. You're like, what the heck? It helps with this inflammation on your skin.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just does.
That was like during COVID. We were wearing those masks, and I started getting acne again. But one thing that really helped was using honey.
Oh, so you've done it too?
Yeah, I would mixing it with shea butter, and then you put it make a mask, and you put it on before you go in the shower. Oh my gosh!
I remember this. There was a time I think we were having some fun with some organic fungi, and I think you were putting that on, and Pat was conjuring up some crazy story. It was making me so. I was like believing everything, because he was like, "That's Leah's crazy like secret potion lotion because it smelled so good."
Lotion,
you were like
yes.
putting it on, it smelled so good, and I was like, "What is this?"
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was going on. I do remember you doing that now. That was recently, maybe last year when we went camping. I don't know.
I put on some potion lotion today too, but it was made by a local Chicago artisan, Samantha Joe.
Samantha Joe's potion lotion.
Her Balm Yard is her brand, and it's
What's the technical name for it?
Balm Yard is
Balm Yard.
her brand.
Okay.
And
it's good stuff.
It's good stuff.
What is it made of?
Well, you have your carriers, like the shea butter and different cocoa butter and things like that, and then the herbs that go into it as well. That
It's all like
make
organic.
Make it the potion. Yeah, all organic.
That's good. I don't like looking at lotions and you see like 79 ingredients in them with a bunch of weird chemical, prefixes and suffix words in it. And
Yeah.
you're like, what is all this stuff? I'm just like shoving it into my organ, my epidermis. Like, what is this? Yeah, it's complicated. And I'm sure a lot of the cosmetic world is going to have to reckon with that and figure that one out because it's not good. All the chemicals that makeup, everything, all that. Not a fan of it. There's a lot of toxic stuff in them,
Yeah.
And you're like, put it in your face and on your skin.
Yeah, we don't need all that.
No, I never understood it. When women get into it for a lot of different reasons, I'm like, I don't understand it. stuff's so gross.
And it's expensive,
It's
too.
expensive. It it adds an extra stress to your life that I'm sure you really don't want. Like, oh
Yeah.
man, I got to do this thing for 30 minutes before I go out or whatever it is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't do that. Just don't do it. Let's make it normal. No more
Yeah.
makeup.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of it. I'm just worried about people's skin. I don't think it's good for your skin.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But
You don't care. You don't wear too much makeup at all.
I got some mascara on right
I could
now.
see that, but that's about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
So yeah, you don't
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah, thank you.
Nobody needs it. If you just eat
Yeah.
healthy, have a good life, be happy. I'm sure you get a lot more wrinkles if you're just angry, just a sad, angry person. You'll probably have a lot more skin issues.
Yeah,
You know.
not drinking enough water too.
Mhm.
That'll do it
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah. Do you like being alone? Because you work so much alone, right?
I
Or at least you travel a lot alone.
I travel a lot alone. I work. Usually, I have a crew, like at least one or two
Okay.
people. Yeah, because you can't fly drones alone.
No?
You need a VO usually.
Video operator?
A visual observer.
I was close.
Yeah.
Be a video operator as well as because if there's a camera on it, maybe someone drives while someone does the video, right?
Yeah.
Or flies, not driving.
Flies.
You don't drive
Yeah.
drones. Fly drones. How high can you fly that big one? Or the biggest one you have? How high can you fly it?
Some of the big ones have a cap of like 100 feet or
Oh.
900. Yeah, about so. But you can fly things up legally to usually 400 feet. But a lot of the drones will go above that if you change
Yeah.
the settings essentially.
I think one of the cool drone shots Danny got in my backyard was it went way up there. Like the shot of the skyline was so beautiful and clear, and you could tell. I think you probably went up like top like 380 feet, but it
Yeah.
just felt so high up.
Oh yeah, you can get really cool shots of the skyline at 380 feet.
Oh yeah, and so 400 would be like breaking like FAA regulation or something.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how they know that? Let's be real, they don't really know. How could you
Yeah.
actually know that? There's too many things in the air. The
There-
Earth's too big.
They have like more trackers on these days, but yeah, as far as
They're probably better at knowing it in major cities and like airports and government places. But once if you're in the middle of nowhere, why would anyone know that you went 1,000 feet for a second and you come back down? Like not
Yeah.
a second, but a minute. Why would anyone know that? Not saying you should. I'm just saying. I always wonder about these drones because there are plenty of people who don't follow rules. So I'm like, I wonder like how high they can actually go if someone's just willing to break that law. Like, what is the top limit they can do?
yeah, like also like the air gets really thin at a certain and so your drone could just fall out of the sky essentially too.
And the drone technology's got really good. There's this cool video. I'm really into F1 racing, and there's a cool video of a modern drone. Like a company built it, a smaller tech company, and I think they were hired or a partnership with Red Bull, so they got funding to do it. And this camera can follow an F1 car, make all of the turns, and keep up with it at the high speeds of 215 miles an hour, and like be above it, following it at that speed. And at that speed, it looks crazy because you actually get to start seeing like what a car goes through at those speeds and turning, and it could follow the turns. It does like this cool, like it whips up and gets its momentum and keeps going like that. It's so futuristic. It's little. It's like it looks like this with like little wings, and it's like flying crazy. It's like I don't know. Have you ever seen those before? Like those really fast
They're
ones?
really fast. I haven't. But
Just type in Red Bull fastest drone or
Okay.
Red Bull fast drone racing or something. Yeah, they were going 200 and something miles an hour, and like had good clarity, HD footage on the camera, and were keeping up with all the turns. I couldn't believe it. It's good, but it's
That's
also
awesome.
freaky
yeah.
because if like a little company's doing that, what can the government do?
Oh, they don't want us to know.
They don't want us to know. They really don't. But we have the internet, so unfortunately, a lot of stuff just keeps coming out. Yeah. Oh man, it must have been so much fun to be high up in the government like 100 years ago. No one knew anything. You could do anything you want, and no one knew. I mean, it's not good. I'm saying like from an evil perspective.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm not saying it for a good reason. I'm just saying like if you're evil.
Yeah, you can do a
In
lot
the
more evil these
1920s,
days.
there was like no DNA, no cameras, no emails, no tracking on like cell phones, nothing. So the nasty stuff that people were doing.
I mean, yeah, they created a Holocaust. Like, yeah.
They created that. They created they helped to create organized crime. The government by doing
True.
all of the making everything illegal and doing the prohibition created
Yeah.
organized crime. Government.
Wow.
And so, what are some other things that you've like done or you get from traveling and doing this kind of work, and what are some things that like you want to like do with it or maybe grow with it?
Yeah. Okay. I guess I'll start with where I want it to grow is definitely growing forests, and I would love to plant forests with
With the
these
drone.
with the drone.
Have you talked to someone like your superiors about doing this?
Yeah, yeah, and the thing is, like, it's all dependent on who hires us for what particular job, and so the thing is, it's so difficult with timing. You have to get the seed out at the right time and things like that, and so there's plenty of seeding jobs we do, but it's mainly like cover crop seeding, or just restoration of like wildflower stuff like that. Not trees itself is a difficult thing to plant. So there were a couple companies that were doing this where they were mainly focusing on reforesting after clear cutting for logging, and they've kind of gone back to the more traditional thing of planting them by hand because it's difficult. You can get 100% success rates in a tropical environment, but then when it comes to more arid places, maybe you get like 1%
By
success.
doing with the drone.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Is that because you're not putting it like under the dirt by hand? Yeah.
yeah. So I need like an airsoft gun loaded onto this thing, shooting the.
How about this? You strap me to it.
Okay.
You fly me up. I got the gun. I'm shooting the things down so they penetrate. You fly me around. I'll do it.
Yeah. I'd also like to do like art that way too, because with you can map like polygons and different shapes and stuff, and then have the drone spray seed, or in that particular area.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, I don't know how successful that would be, but at least you're putting seeds out there.
So when you're out there, it's just going through your head all these different types of ideas of how you can like improve or combine two different ideas into one to like, help trees or plants, the planet.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of like how my brain works, kind of thing.
That's a good thing, though.
Yeah.
The world needs people to do that. Some people are just like, okay, I'll just do this, and that's what I do, and I go home and shut my brain off. But you're like, how can I improve on this? How can we like put it to better use? Maybe have multiple functions for these drones,
Yeah, because it's just a tool.
It's just a tool.
Yeah.
How to use it is up to the individual's imagination. That would be cool. I could see you like starting like a big company that saves the earth with planting trees and planting vegetation. It's hard. Yeah, there's some places in this country I don't think we're supposed to be living because of like the forest fires and the hurricanes, Yeah.
Great.
California. Have you been out there since those forest fires?
Yeah. I mean, there's forest fires quite regularly, but at the place that I typically
I meant
work,
the LA ones that recently
Oh,
happened.
no.
That's what I meant. I should be more specific.
Yeah, not those ones.
Yeah. Ooh, it's so horrible looking.
Yeah, it is. It was so devastating.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to donate after, after that happened. I donated to like a couple GoFundMe's and stuff, but then I found Angel Deodorian from. She was in the Dirty Projectors by like her solo stuff.
Yeah.
And she was doing astrology readings with a portion donated to the fires. So I had like my first astrology reading.
Was it like over Zoom?
Yeah.
With her?
Yeah. And I got
That's
to
so
donate
funny.
to the fires.
Were you like nervous?
Maybe a little. I mean, I don't feel like I've had have too much star. I mean, I definitely respect her as a creator, and I think that's so cool.
Yeah, that's funny.
But I guess also nervous anytime you do something new, like a astrology reading. Where
did you
this
learn?
Gonna go?
Tell us what you learned about yourself, unless you don't want to share it.
Yeah, it kind of like was all over the place because it was an I want to think of it's called the Ayurvedic astrology, where it's like more. So it the it's different, and so I learned that I'm an Aquarius and not a Virgo, or Aquarius and a Virgo, and the way she described like my love of nature and art and everything, it was like,
Oh, she described that?
yeah, I was like, yeah,
Ah.
this is pretty spot on.
Hmm.
But
She probably could tell too just by looking at you, though. You radiate that you definitely dabble in that world. Just you walk in with that jacket,
oh yeah,
your 3 foot long hair, long, beautiful earrings, things like that.
oh, these earrings are. I'm gonna give you a hint.
They are cool looking.
They're 2 degrees away from Stevie Wonder.
2 degrees? Well, if they're 2 degrees away from Stevie Wonder, Olio made them.
Yes.
You like that? I
Yeah.
am smart, people. I actually didn't know that, but I did know that. I didn't know that. I just know that Olio's played with Stevie Wonder. I also know she makes jewelry. I also know that you know her and, appreciate her as an artist. So I
Yeah.
could see how easy it was for me to figure
These
that
are my
out.
favorite earrings. I thought I lost them
Olio's a
once.
great
and
artist, like across the board in everything she does.
is. Oh my gosh.
She's gonna take over a country or something. She's badass.
Yeah, she just commands a room. It's amazing.
Definitely.
Amazing. So I bought these at the last DZ Fest, actually.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so you bought them pre-Stevie Wonder. Got
Eat
it.
priest. Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, they're really cool.
Yeah, I love them.
Man, that last Easy Fest was fun. Did you sell anything at that one?
Not at the last one, no.
No.
I had to like go on one of my trips again, like as I missed like part of
it. Yeah. Yeah. You helped create so much amazing artwork.
Yeah,
For that and for me and for anyone.
I did have my stuff was on the mural actually, or like on one of the
creatures,
stages.
the
Yeah,
creatures holding hands. I
Yes.
love that one. Everyone's always like, "What are those things?" I was like, "I don't know."
They're Japanese demons.
Okay, so they do
Yeah.
come from somewhere.
Yeah,
Okay.
they do come from
They remind me
somewhere.
of like where the wild things are, kind of. That was cool. Yeah, really cool. And then you did the art one or the merch one?
I did the. What do you mean?
The sign, the wooden
Oh,
sign.
the sign up there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the staircase.
I did the merch one.
The merch one, and a lot of you've done a lot of different things. There's
Yeah,
other stuff too.
more, other ones.
Every year there's always something.
Yeah.
And then you sold art a few times, right?
A few times.
And then I have two of your paintings upstairs. The elephant in my home.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I have another one of something of yours. I love those. Those are still two of my favorite ones. The elephant I have where I work, so I see it every day, and then my home I have when I leave my house here, so I could always be reminded of it.
I made that. I painted the picture of your home for. It was a comedy show.
Mm-hmm.
And
It was the poster, yeah.
Yeah, for the flyer, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to put all these names on there, and they constantly ended up changing anyways. So
Yeah. Oh, God, don't remind me. None of these posters are accurate. They were all like they were posted at a certain day and time when those were the bands that were gonna play, and then the next day it changes, and then
So I figured
funny.
just paint a picture that could be kept, and then
Great idea.
digital.
Yeah, Photoshop it
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
That was a great idea. It would have got because watercolor, so it would have been really hard to be accurate with fine lines
yeah.
and penmanship and stuff. Yeah.
My penmanship isn't that
No.
great. No.
Well, your painting, your watercolor is great. And drawing. And have you always been doodling and drawing and?
Yeah. Ever since I was a little kid.
Have you made like a lot of artwork over your life outside of?
The stuff that I've given you?
Yeah, or anything else,
and for DC Fest, I would say a good amount of stuff.
Like
I'm currently working on a book, like a children's book right now.
What?
Yeah, I'm almost like there.
What? How come I didn't know this?
Well, you don't want to talk about the things that you're
do.
making before they're made, right?
I mean, that's been my whole life.
You do that?
That's
how you do all this?
There's no way that I could have had this without talking about it before I was going to do it.
True.
I had to promote it. You got to tell people about it.
Yeah, and I would have to agree with that. Like the best things that I've accomplished in my life are with other people, and because of other people.
Yeah, sometimes you could be as hardworking or as smart as you want, but the smartest, hardworking people I know find ways to extrapolate that from everyone around them, not in a nefarious, like psychopathic way, but in a good, like they
Symbiotic
get it from
way.
you. Yeah, you get it from them. Symbiotic, great way. Synergy, symbiotic, great way to say it. They learn from you. You learn from them by letting your guard down and letting the floodgates open of like honesty, emotions, authenticity. I don't know, all that stuff. And it really helps with collaboration, you know. And the only time it can be a little tricky is you do have a one singular vision for something and then too many like cooks in the kitchen, you know. But that's why like delegating stuff gets important. Find someone who's good at one thing. I'm not that great of an artist. That's why I just was so open with any of the art. Like if anyone wants to make art, I'll try to like take these supplies. Whoever wants to do it, I'm not gonna say one word. Might give one idea. Like put DZ Fest somewhere. Like with yours, like put it in the middle, and like anything else, do what you want. Because you're always like, what do I do? What do I do? I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
And you painted on the animal one, right? The jungle one that Ella made. Didn't you paint something on that?
Maybe, yeah. For
A lion?
I didn't do the lion.
I did
but
an elephant. That wasn't good. I think Jake touched it up for me.
I don't remember what I added to that one.
That one
but
is so
Ella's
cool.
art was
That one like is so
excellent.
much fun.
Yeah.
It reminds me of something that'd be like in a kindergarten classroom.
Yeah.
You know, just
Yeah.
on the wall for kids to look at like painted animals, or like in a hallway in an elementary school. That's just like a mural up forever, showing like the jungle in a really cool, creative way.
Yeah.
That one's fun.
That was a fun. Yeah, and painting that too, being in the garage over the summer and
So much
oh
fun.
my gosh.
Everyone just kept showing. Everyone just shows up. Someone's doing something. Yeah, good days.
Yeah.
Crazy days.
Thank you for those.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for being there. Thank you for anybody who was there. I couldn't. There's no way you could do that alone, or any of the stuff I've done. You can't do it alone. Yeah, it's important to be aware of that. It's a hard thing to explain. It's like sometimes I wish I could tell that to the people in my life that have helped me, like yourself. How many times that I'll get like a compliment about stuff I do, where I want to just be like, I wish all the 100 people, the main 100 people that have helped, that they can all just get that little text notification, like, oh, someone complimented like something you were a part of, so they can get that pick me up for their day, knowing that they helped change people's lives.
Yeah.
You know?
We're so fortunate to come from like Chicago, and there's just such a great network of people and artists, but it is that openness so that you have to like you literally opened your door to all these kids that you know.
Yeah, and
Your-
then turned
your
into
front
young
door.
adults, and then turned
Yes.
into bigger adults, and then it's what's really cool is seeing all of our friends and colleagues and acquaintances around our age now, like doing it back, like working with kids or in their jobs or in their extracurricular activities or in donating time or charity work, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's cool to see like people like now going back into what made them, maybe even saved like their perspective or their life or their trajectory, you know? It's really cool to see. Yeah.
It's so cool.
It's fun.
Giving back.
Trying as much as you can, you know. But really, it's
Right.
just time. It's really just time. You don't need money to give back. People do it. They just don't. They give money. Usually, they're too busy to do community service. And that's a beautiful thing, too. You can always appreciate someone who's able to donate money, you know. But I always love the time over the money.
I'm a big
You know.
fan of those, like those little TikTok or Instagram videos where people go around and give money to strangers, like after they do some like little deed for them. Like this guy's like, I have no shoes. Can I have some shoes? And he gets some shoes from them, and then will then end up giving them like $1,000. And these people, it's just how much excitement people have for giving, and then also the excitement that they have for receiving. It just, oh my gosh, those videos make me cry. They're so sweet.
Yeah. You don't realize how important that is until you get a little older. You know, You're like, oh, most people don't have that much. You know, life's a little not fair at the start line for almost everyone, besides the lucky few who it's just random. They didn't choose it. You know, if you're born and your parents have a good amount of money, you had nothing to do about that. You know, but. Yeah, but time can be free. It could be after you work, after you hung out with your friends, after you did your thing. You can always give time to help others. Even in like friends and family, if they're working on like a business idea, like, hey, I can help something, anything. People just need to do more of that. The world would be a better place. Too many selfish folks out there. You're not one of them, that's for sure. You're pretty selfless, actually. Where did you
try.
get that from? Where is this? Your parents are good
My
parents.
parents are good
They're definitely. I've met
parents.
both a few times.
Yeah.
They're definitely great parents.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, my grandparents as well. Yeah, they're just
Good family.
good family.
It's
I'm
important.
very blessed.
And that's another thing too. You can be born with money, a good home, but you can have a bad family or a broken family and not good friends, and then it doesn't matter. You could be broke, you could be rich. If you don't have good friends or family, it doesn't really matter what you have. It's almost worse than being like poor, is having just a rotten family. That'd be a bad way to be raised, or like one side, like your dad's gone, your mom's gone, whoever. It'd be so hard.
Yeah, wealth can come in so many different forms. I think people forget that. Like, time is a form of wealth. Money is the most commonly thought of form of wealth, but then also connections of people, friendships, community.
Friendship. I always say I'm a billionaire in friends.
Yes, you are.
I say that. I'm like, I may not have much, but I'm definitely like a gazillionaire when it comes to socializing and having a fun. Always something.
Always.
Yeah, usually the only days I'm not hanging out with people is I have to like electively decide like that I'm not doing something that day,
Do you enjoy your solitude?
Oh, I love being alone.
Yeah.
I'm alone. It's extreme. I'm either alone or with a bunch of people. Like yesterday was a random 4-person hang on a Thursday. Here was like Eddie, Charlie, Vinny, and Trevor, completely not planned.
Nice.
Just happened yesterday. What a bunch of reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was alone the whole day, driving. But then I was talking with students all day, so it depends on the day. Yeah, but I do enjoy days where I don't talk or hang out with like anyone. It's just silent all day.
Yeah, those are nice.
That's how Wednesday was like that. I think I said like 5 words the whole day, just alone the whole day, just working on things, walking around town, just not talking to anyone. Yeah, maybe a phone call, but aside from that, I really enjoy both. I think both are really important. I love traveling alone. I love traveling with people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you?
Oh, I love traveling alone. That's actually like one of the best parts, I think, of traveling, because when you're open to meeting people, oh my gosh, I've had so many cool experiences as far as like, one time I was in Virginia Beach and I met this woman sitting at a bar, and she was giving psychic readings.
You and your psychic readings. Astrology. Where do you find these people? You attract them. You do. You know that.
She was just giving psychic readings to the bartenders and everything. And I'm like, who is this person? I need to be.
So what happened?
I interjected myself in her conversation, and we're still friends.
Really?
Yes. But she's not just a psychic. She's a full-time teaching pharmacist as well.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa, those are 2 extremes. One is very scientific and like, on a chemical level.
Yes.
On like the building blocks of reality level. And the other one is the inverse.
You're right.
Whoa.
Dealing with the unknown.
Yeah.
Pulling stuff from
so
the ether.
What did you get from that?
Oh, she gave me a free reading where she's like, I'm seeing something about ducks in a frame, and I'm like, what? And she's like, your grandma, and I'm like, oh my gosh, just that week I had hung up a frame of ducks that my grandma's friend made for my parents as a wedding gift.
Whoa.
Yes. And so and then she gave me like a simple message that was like, your grandma wants you to know that she's there with you all the time. But it wasn't the message itself. It was what came along with the message, like this feeling of so much love. And also, like, I was able to see when my grandma would make me these little peanut butter and jelly on crackers, And my grandma didn't cook at all. She was a nurse anesthetist. And that's so hard to say, but
I can't say.
she'd make it. So she didn't really cook, but she'd make these little peanut butter jelly crackers, and I love these things. And the message I got from this seeing this in my mind's eye is that it really it's love and time that matter more than your skills. Like, as far being able to cook isn't really needed to be a great maternal role model in someone's life. Like, it was the time and love that she put into those crackers that carried on and nourished me in ways beyond you know spiritually as well in some ways. Yeah,
No,
nourished
that's
my
pretty
psyche.
interesting.
Yeah, so it's like I see that stuff, like delving into the unknown is a ways of understanding ourselves more, understanding how everything is all connected, and it's yeah, I just love the mysteries of life.
And do you put like 100% of your faith and belief in that, or is it kind of something you're just open to?
So I used to be atheist, like a fully like atheist. Being an angsty teenager, you're like,
It's an easy option.
yeah, exactly.
You're really just saying, I just hate everything else is what's
Yes,
happening.
I hate
You
it.
don't know what's going on. You just know you don't like what you were forced into as a kid. That's
Yes.
pretty much what it is.
Yeah, and luckily I wasn't really forced into anything because my mom's Jewish and my dad is agnostic, like Christian.
I'm sure there's a joke in there somewhere.
Yes.
What does that make? An atheist.
And
That's a good joke. What does an agnostic and a Jewish person create? An atheist.
technically, if your mom's Jewish, that makes you Jewish. So
Oh,
yeah.
so you're Jewish.
Well, I don't know. I'm like all. I would say like all religions, like spiritual now. So it was until my grandmother passed away that I had like what I would say a spiritual experience, and
On your mom's side or dad's?
my dad's
Dad's
side.
Okay. Your
Yeah.
mom's side grandma is
She's still
alive. Okay.
around.
That's the one you were traveling with.
Yes.
Okay.
And so my paternal grandmother, she was sick for a while, and the family moved in to take care of her, and it was a really cool end of life experience as far as like people coming together at the end of her life. But the day of her passing, it was me. I was sitting in my bed in a different room, and my dad was there as well. And when I was in my room, or this room, I couldn't sleep. I was sitting in the bed, and then it felt like there was like 100 people in the room with me, but they weren't, they weren't there. And when I closed my eyes, it felt like there was like a whole bunch of lights, like 100 orbs, as people maybe would describe it.
Wow.
And I'm like, what is going on? This is so weird. This is such a weird sensation. And then I felt my grandma's spirit come to me. And it was the most intense peace and love that I've ever felt in my entire life. And it was just like, I felt like she wanted me to go to bed because it was
Disciplining you still.
Yeah. She's like, you gotta go to sleep. and so I was able to fall asleep pretty easily after that moment. And I woke up in the morning and was like, Dad, this happened at this time? And he was like, yeah, that's when she passed.
Oh,
Because
wow.
she had called him into the room. She knew she was passing, and she called for him. And yeah.
So she was still able to call for your dad?
For my dad, but I was like I was upstairs, and they were on the first floor.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what does that mean to you?
To me, it meant that there was just more. I can't say from that moment on that there wasn't more to life.
There's something else
There's something
at
else.
play, at work.
Yeah.
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 There is. I kind of like not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be the same problem as if you were immortal and you live forever.
Yeah.
Then there's no meaning. And if you had the answer to the universe, then there is no meaning. There's no search. There's no need to pioneer and think of new things because now we have the answers. Also, we definitely know that no one knows because how many different explanations are there on this planet for this universe? Millions.
Yes.
Thousands. I mean, there's so many different versions, even within one religion, the amount of versions and interpretations. So,
Yeah, you can't make
can't know.
if right. This stuff, it's hard to say if it could ever be scientific because you need a control in order to, like energy healing. I love energy healing, Reiki. I practice that, and you're never going to have like a control and variable because it's all so subjective.
Yeah.
But so you just gotta have to.
But everyone kind of knows. Everyone kind of knows. Like, you don't need that test to test that if you, like, breathe and meditate and are nice to people and think good thoughts and give constructive criticism, not belittling people. Like, everyone knows life improves.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
necessarily know why. I mean, there's no scientific data. I mean, there's some measurements of cortisol levels and dopamine, that might correlate, but there's something mysterious going on.
Yeah.
And it's hard to say. I think everything is at play. So, like, just how why so many things that can give you cancer are illegal is because there's so much stuff that gives you cancer. You can't prove that the one thing is solely responsible for it. You know what I mean? Like, radiation's happening, then chemicals, microplastics, electromagnetic fields. Which one's causing the cancer? No one knows. Therefore, they all get to exist.
Right.
So I think that it takes a lot of just being patient and open to, like, letting different things happen, not shutting it off. Also being mindful. People take advantage of you based on certain religions. They'll come to your house and try to get you to do something weird. That happens too, because there's every type of religion.
There is.
From creepy cults to Christianity or Islam. Some of the biggest in the world, and they vary. And some are really helpful for people, and some might cause more harm because they might be in it for the wrong intention. I think intention helps.
Yeah.
Are you being open to it and trying to, like, kind of live through a better lens of it?
And I think we're all at different stages of our lessons of school. Like, I think the Earth is a school of some sort.
It's how school should be.
Yes.
Traditional school is not good for most people. If you have the wrong mind, traditional, like K through 12, is horrible. It was for me. I did not do good K through 12. I did great in everything else in life, but not good through K through 12. Couldn't sit still. Didn't want to hear any of it. Wanted to do the stuff I wanted to do.
But do you think that struggle kind of allowed your success in other ways?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So much so. Yeah. And what it really helped with now that I do a lot of teaching or workshops or guest speaking is I can tell students, the ones I could see that struggle with focusing because they have their imaginations running free, whatever you want to call it. People call it ADHD, anxiety, whatever it is. I think it's just kids who want to burn off energy and play. That's my opinion on most of it. Not 100%, but a big chunk is probably kids just need to go out there and play with dirt again.
Yes.
And so I see that in kids, and I like to give advice relative to that because I went through it. I didn't do good in school. It took me 6 years to finish college instead of 4. All these little things that I struggled with. Now that I got past it and I see other people struggling with it, I can be like, hey, give them, like, straight advice from the source who did it as well. Whereas a lot of people who are super successful in fields or in college or professors don't have that. They usually were really academic and good in it their whole life, so they can't relate to kids who are struggling as much. So I actually I feel better that I had this struggle. Because if a kid's good at school, anyone can relate that they're good. Like, okay, you know what you're doing. But it's the other 80%, 50% that are struggling. I rather relate to them. The ones that are flying by or have parents who could afford tutors, they don't need me as much as the ones that are struggling,
Yeah. I think it says a lot that you can see and you're aware of these kids' struggles and that allows them to feel seen. And that there is something, because so much of life is us getting stuck in our heads.
Yes.
And it's to be stuck in struggle is one of the worst feelings. And it can feel like it's never going to end. But
I know. One of the worst things about being human is our ability to have future projection. You know, it's like the biggest thing that makes us unique, and it's like the worst thing because that's just constant fear of like what is on the horizon. I'm
yeah,
not too sure if certain insects think that way, or even animals.
no.
You know, but we have a unique ability to do that, and in doing that, it could eat you alive. Anxiety, imposter syndrome, depression, fear. It's all because you can see your future. It's not because you're about to die in the moment. Is anything about to kill you?
Yeah,
No, nothing's gonna kill you right now. We're in a
right.
basement.
I think it's so important to have like a goal in the future, but like not but accept that you have no idea how you're gonna get there because
Yeah.
the path itself can be all winding and everything and
Meandering hell.
yeah. but like
Beautiful hell.
yeah, so but the more you get in touch with yourself and like through meditation especially, like that's how I deal with like the uncertainty. My life is, I would say, like a beautiful, peaceful, chaotic.
Oh yeah.
It's like
Yours definitely is beautiful, peaceful chaos. That's a good way to describe it.
yes, it's wild, but it's
Yeah, it's kind of. Do you ever get burnt out from the up, like the up and down of like
yeah,
almost like dopamine dumps because you do so many
yeah,
beautiful and fun things with yourself, your family, art, your friends, but then the circadian rhythm being thrown off from the traveling, car drive, or flying, being alone,
oh
not
yeah,
knowing when you're gonna be there or back again, just like kind of not really knowing what's gonna be in the next week, like today,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. I didn't expect to be
Yeah.
here, and I don't know. I just kind of have to. So what I do in the morning that has really helped with this is like I have a morning practice where I wake up in the morning and I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to be surprised today by the universe, and just to show me how good it can get, like it, and usually it's pretty good, then also the challenges that I get presented, I'm like, okay, this is a challenge for a reason, and there's something to learn from this.
It's a great perspective. It's a good mindset,
It
you know?
has
Because
changed
then
my
when
life.
something bad happens, which it will, small or large, it doesn't stop you as much. It's just a little bit of like one step back instead of
Yeah.
five or something, you know?
And then you also kind of need that step back for perspective too.
Yeah, you got to check yourself sometimes.
Yes.
Our lives can get a little too easy, you know, where we live and where we're from and what we do and the circles we're in now. You almost have to always selectively choose hard paths because life is so easy now. You have to like deliberately
Yeah.
make yourself suffer, you know?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like everything's just handed to you.
I mean, maybe I would even challenge that everyone is deliberately making themselves suffer, but some of us are just a little bit more aware of how we make ourselves suffer.
How do you make yourself suffer?
Oh, that's a really good question.
That's a weird
like,
question. Not every day you get,
yeah,
excuse me, miss. How do you make
right,
yourself suffer?
right. Oh my gosh. Well, like
Your job?
yeah, my job, testing my patients, like dealing with the chaos of now we're not knowing where I'm going to be next month and stuff like that.
Choosing to come to my house late and getting stuck here till 4 or 5 in the morning when you're
Right,
tired.
right when I was supposed to be on a flight the
Yeah,
next
how
day.
did you feel the next day?
Fine,
What?
actually.
You probably didn't drink or anything. That's probably why.
No, I didn't drink.
So you just
Yeah.
were a little sleepy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You did that when we were in Florida too. You went to bed really late and you had to leave early to drive back. You know, that's so hard.
So sometimes I get really like in those situations. It's like being around friends just energizes me. It's like I could stay up. pretty
Yeah, yeah. Pat's really good at
late.
that.
Yes, he
Pat
is.
can get anyone to stay up 3 to 5 hours later than they normally would. You don't even know it. You're just hanging out and you're like, oh my God, it's 3 a.m. and he's still perfectly wide awake, unfazed, and you're like, I guess I gotta keep going.
Well, he's definitely frustrated that he lost that magic on me because
He did. I remember he used
yeah.
to stay up later too. Yeah, now
And then now I fall asleep. But
when I find out Pat's coming over alone, and I have like if there's a Jake or an Andrew Medina or like any friends that can hang that late with him, I'm always glad because they can take that pressure off me, and I can hang out with Pat from like 8 to 1 a.m. and then they can go from 1 to like 4, and I can go to bed without feeling bad that I left them hanging. You know,
Yeah.
that used to happen at the DZ all the time. I'd wake up. What time did you guys go to bed last night? Well, Pat was here till 5. I'm like, 5? I went to bed at 12:30. What are you guys doing? Nothing. Just listening to music, talking.
Yeah. Just talking.
Wow, he is a night owl.
He is.
He would have been one of those people, 100,000 years ago that was just up at night watching the camp because he just could do it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and would sleep like during the day, and that was his shift for protecting the camp. That would have been his DNA.
Yeah.
I guess you never answered that question fully, though. Besides traveling, what else are some things? Things you do for suffering, suffering you give yourself.
Well, I mean, we're talking about Pat. Like being in a relationship for years can like really challenge you.
Yeah, like 10, 12 years, 9 years,
15.
15.
Yeah.
2010.
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Wild.
That's so crazy. Wow, and it's crazy too knowing you two independently and separate from each other. That's happened a few times.
Because we
life.
both met you at 17, but I didn't meet him until like 18, 19.
I met you at 17 in 2007. I met him at 16 in 2006.
Oh, okay.
A year before you.
Okay.
Yeah, like in the winter of that month when I was hanging out with a bunch of people from Oak Lawn, and Pat was there. I think the first time I met him, I met up at a bowling alley, I think on Cicero and close to 103rd. But not Cooper's Hawk. What's that restaurant called on Cicero and 103rd? It had like the donuts. Huck Finn's. There's a bowling alley over there. And him and Derek Downey were in a car. And I pulled up. I just got off work from Subway. I probably reeked of Subway. Pulled up next to them. They were listening to music. I got in the car and we were listening to music together. I barely knew them. And then we went bowling. And I didn't really know anyone. But back then, I loved that I had a car. I was 16. I loved that I can just go out and meet new people. Because to be honest, there was only a few people I enjoyed hanging out with at Argo Community High School. So I didn't have too many friends my age that were doing like music and art and adventures. So I just went seeking it and finding it with my car and going to shows and Oak Lawn Ice Arena for shows. I'm sure you probably did that maybe? No?
No.
Did you go to a lot of shows in high school?
Those would be like over at Mojo's.
Mojo's?
Yeah.
You went to those?
Yeah.
The old one on...
yeah. What's
on the Grange before it moved to Tinley?
Right, yeah.
It's on 94th Avenue.
Yeah.
It was on 94th, yeah.
Did some of those, but more like house shows and stuff like that. Pretty much like around the time I started meeting you, because I had my car by then. And
That's right. Was that the Cadillac?
No, that was afterwards.
It was so funny. It made no sense for you when you had that. I was like, yeah, it's got heated seats, the big leather seats.
Yeah, that was my grandpa's Cadillac when he was
there was nobody else
no
that could be
able
but
to
a grandpa's
drive that.
Cadillac. Only a few people would have those cars, and it's just an old man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my first car was a big blue pickup truck.
Really?
Yeah.
Big blue pickup truck.
Yeah, I didn't
You've been
have
meant
it.
to be a trucker forever. Huh?
Yeah, it's a dream come true. Still have some more childhood dreams. Do you have childhood dreams that you still carry?
Yes, I've done like smaller or medium versions of most of them, but there's some bigger ones that I still haven't done. A big one would be to build my own home someday.
Nice.
Obviously, I've started small with that. I have built stuff, but just not quite a home. So slowly, just reading to teach me. I mean, mostly, at this point, if I could just read about how to do something, I could just do it when it comes to handy stuff. Almost anything at this point. If I just read about it or someone tells me, I'm good. So most of building a house is covered. I have to just read a little bit more on certain things. Yeah. And to build a home, and I would like to have like a community center, like a school, a non-for-profit for kids who don't have access to things. That's essentially what I did with the DZ. I did without realizing it. And I saw that it helped a lot of kids who didn't have things. You know what I mean? So now I'll just apply that with more experience and knowledge of how to like do it smarter, fast track stuff. But we were experimenting because we were living it while doing it, not realizing what we were doing while we were living, So yeah, maybe that, and then the festival again. So the festival was one, did it, but now do it at a bigger scale that can have more impact. So if I could do those three things, build a house, have a bigger festival where it can do more, and then have like a local school in the inner city, probably South Side.
I love
things.
it.
Yeah, and a streaming app. I'd like to create a streaming app with the revenue from those things to help musicians get better pay. Yeah.
I
So we'll
I
see.
believe in this.
I hope so. It's hard. All those things cost so much money.
Yeah,
But,
they'll come at the right time.
yeah,
And
I'm
you're,
trying.
You're doing lots of other things right now too.
Yeah, slowly doing all the things to help it to where when that can or does happen, I'll be ready to go. You know what I mean? Like just doing all the groundwork for it.
Yes.
Lifetime of groundwork.
Yeah. Well,
But if none of those things happen and I die for some reason, I'm still fine with everything that's happened already.
right.
I've already
Yeah.
exceeded
You've had
whatever
a
I thought
very
I could do.
Full life.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel too old sometimes because of it. It's
Right?
aged me like in a weird way.
I know. It's like
I'm sure you get it too.
right. It's like time moves so fast. Like I feel like I've done lifetimes of travel
You have,
in my
yeah.
short life.
You've
Like,
traveled a lot.
but like it's just like people wouldn't have had these opportunities in the past because they didn't have planes, they didn't have phones to contact. Like I can find the best restaurants on
nothing to kill
Google.
time.
You know, yeah,
Yeah, they're playing like marbles or jacks, yo-yo. You know what I mean? Kick the can down the road, skip rocks by the creek. Like, not much to do. Time probably did feel slower.
yeah.
People didn't grow up as fast, But sometimes I feel really young, probably because I don't have a family, I don't have kids. So I feel very like nothing's slowing me down. I get to just do whatever. And then because of doing so much in a condensed time, sometimes I feel like getting along with older folks. Sometimes it's not just like, oh, their stories and their wisdom is great. Sometimes it's truly like my mentality is a similar wavelength to theirs, even though they're 40 years older. I always think like I feel like I was born in like the greatest generation or the silent generation with like the way I behave and think about stuff.
Well, you're an old soul.
It's just so old.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so are you.
Yes.
It makes it hard for the social media stuff, I'm sure you can relate to that. Sometimes you're like, such nonsense sometimes.
Yeah.
It's cool for like sharing and growing crafts and art, you know what I mean? Great for that. But I think it depends on your intention when you're doing it. You'll be really careful with that. It'll eat you alive.
It's good to have an intention.
Yeah, you gotta be intentional.
To do anything. I mean, I think how often are people taught to be aware of having intention?
Yeah.
Yeah. So social media also a tool.
Yes.
The drones a tool. Like
It's very wise.
it's what you want to do with it, and that sometimes you don't know like where it's gonna go because like drones didn't exist when I was a kid. Like I couldn't have wanted to be a drone pilot, and
And now
so
you're doing it.
yeah.
Yeah. That's so crazy. Yeah, both of what we do didn't really exist in the 90s when we were kids. You couldn't have done this in the 90s. It would cost too much money. You'd have the equipment, the technology for like a laptop, and all the I can't speak. The digital aspects of it have shrunk. So now you can do stuff cheaper in weird ways that you normally couldn't have done, Yeah. So, but yeah, both of what we do didn't really exist in the 90s much. Even the degrees I have weren't really a thing in the 90s about sound. It was such a new world,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. How long have we been talking for?
I don't know.
Well, I have one. I'll have this. We'll finish one more question for you
Okay.
because you asked me, have I like done some of the things I wanted to do when I was a kid? How about you?
So I feel accomplished with the truck driving stuff. One thing I've always wanted to kind of like live in New Zealand for just like a little period of time, maybe a summer
Go
or a
to Middle
year.
Earth.
Yes.
Like an elf. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been to New Zealand.
Have you been to Australia?
I have.
Oh, you should have went then. That's the closest you're gonna get.
Well, I kind of like travel based on what's presented to me.
Yeah.
So Australia I went there because I had a roommate when I lived in Chile. I studied painting in Chile for about 6 months.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
But anyways, so my roommate I was living with 2 Chilean women and an Australian woman, and the Australian woman she was from Melbourne and then she moved to Tasmania, and so actually the same year that had the experience of going to seeing the mountains all burned in Shasta County, I continued on to drive and work on a farm in California. Then I continued on, dropped my car off in San Francisco with another old classmate from Chile, actually. And she was in my painting class, amazing artist.
Wow.
And her parents let me leave my car there for 2 months and I went and I met up my dad in Hong Kong.
Oh my God.
For
This is an adventure.
yes, it was.
Australia, Chile, Hong Kong.
Yes.
None of these things are close to each other.
There was a Labor Day sale for flights, so I was able to go to get. I'm like, I can go to anywhere in Asia and Oceania, and all I have to do is pay for the flight to there, and I can fly back to the U.S. for like it's all like the same deal.
Okay.
And like really cheap. We use points,
Classic.
basically, and so I met up my dad and sister for this lighting convention in Hong Kong, and that was incredible. Then I left them and I went to Melbourne for a day, Tasmania for a week,
Holy jet lag.
and my old my friend there, she took me camping, and we went to
In Tasmania?
in
Did
Tasmania.
you see any devils?
I didn't see any devils, but I saw echidnas and wallaby and possum.
Is it weird saying like completely different species that exist nowhere but here?
Yes, yes,
Wow, kind of like Madagascar. It's just like just unique to this island.
yes.
Whoa.
It was, and even the plant species
Yeah,
too.
everything, pretty
Everything.
much, yeah.
It's like being in an alternate dimension or something, because everything is so similar. People are speaking English, but it's all different.
Different. Same like New Zealand too.
Yes. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, that part of the world's weird because it like goes against what you always think like, okay, England, Western Europe, and then you go to America and we're kind of the same hemisphere, only a few hours from each other. Yeah, kind of we deal with the same seasons, everything. We have a lot of that in common. And then you're like, wait a minute, there's this weird thing on the other side of the globe underneath us.
yeah.
In the southern hemisphere in the middle of the ocean with also people who speak English, but they're insane. They were brought there because they were criminals by England, and you're like, what the heck did we do to this planet?
Right.
This planet is wacky.
It is a wacky planet.
And you've been all over it. So you've been parts of Asia, parts of South America.
Yeah.
Anything in Africa?
Not yet.
Not yet. You want to, though?
Yeah. Yeah. So actually Madagascar. And,
Madagascar?
And
They got great chocolate.
and then apparently now I'm thinking Reunion Island outside of Madagascar. I know someone that lives there too.
I've never even heard of this. It's called Reunion Island.
Yeah. It's a French island off of Madagascar. And
Makes sense.
yeah.
Of course, a French person would somehow be, naturally just be on that island out of nowhere for no reason at all. There are so many interesting parts of this world.
There
And
are.
little societies that live on little islands that are remote that no one knows. There's just so much more than what you have around you, what the internet says,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just being open to all of it can lead to such a beautiful life.
I know. I don't understand why people are so reserved and just don't want to try something. It's so bizarre to me. It's just like, you only got one of these things. Maybe people need to get a lot more closer to death, and you'll be like, oh, this is sacred. I should probably not waste my time here.
Yeah,
It's sacred.
definitely think like having more elders in your life gives you that reminder.
Mm-hmm. Or just going out in the world, seeing how unique life is. That you have what you have. That you didn't die when you were born. You had medical help. Like you're alive and you can live now for a long time and see all these things. And the fact that we could travel freely around a country that looks and is as big as ours, it's pretty beautiful. Our country is amazing. As far the landscape,
amazing.
Florida, so many people crap on Florida, but I'm don't worry about people anywhere sometimes. Just go
Yes.
to the landscape.
Yes.
Go to the swamp in the southern Florida and be blown away that there's dinosaurs everywhere called alligators. And they're everywhere. And it's just nuts. And it's so crazy that it's the same countries when you go up to Minnesota or Maine or California or Texas, you know. It's pretty. It's unique. Yeah.
Man, I got my Florida sticker right here because I love the manatees.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
actually a good breathe deep, live large. I
Aw.
feel like that ties into this message.
It does. Breathe deep, live large. And you saw a bunch of them when you were there, right?
Yeah.
What was it like?
So I go to this Blue Springs quite often, and when I go like at least 5 times, and this last time that we were both down there was 500 manatees in the spring itself. It was
Whoa.
it was crazy. It was packed. Oh, that's from Elizabeth.
Oh, that's so
cute.
cute. Carl Sandburg Home, National Honor Society.
That's in North Carolina.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you like his poetry?
Yeah. And I went to his Carl Sandburg School.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, so.
You sure did. District 230, 1 of 3. Andrew, Sandberg, and Stagg.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How
I
are you?
only know that because my mom worked for them, so that's why I remember that. Yeah, I mean, well, it was District 230, right?
Yeah.
I think it was.
I brought some poetry to read, if to punish or nourish people if they've made it this far in this.
Yeah, you
episode.
should. We could end on that.
Okay.
It's about 4.
Is
Did you
it?
know that? It's in like over
Excellent.
2.5 hours. Yeah. About
Excellent.
2
What a
2.5
good way
hours.
to
Yeah,
end.
read some poetry. Where did you get your jacket again, or blanket, or?
Yeah, I got it at a
It's
consignment shop in LA, and
Oh, right,
I
that's what-
don't remember the place, but
It's nice.
yeah,
It's
thank
very
you.
cool.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You can link it into the thing later.
So who wrote this poem? Was it you?
This is by Mary Oliver.
Mary Oliver,
Are you
okay.
familiar with Mary Oliver's work?
I don't know. I maybe not. I'm not too sure.
She does a lot of stuff where one of her things is pay attention and be astonished. Like the more you notice, she has like a thing about the art of noticing. So the more you notice, the more magic you see in the world.
Okay, I like that. So it's kind of like it's almost like once you know the way broadly, you see it in all things. Is it kind of like that saying? Once you know the way broadly, you see it in all things.
Interesting. Yeah.
Miyamoto Mashadi. I forget how you say his name. He's like a famous Japanese writer. Book of Five Rings. I forget. I don't know much about it. I just know that saying, and it's an interesting saying. Once you know the way broadly, you see it in all things. This kind of reminds me of what you just said.
Well, here's a poem on landscapes.
Okay.
Isn't it plain the sheets of moss, except that they have no tongues, could lecture all day, if they wanted, about spiritual patience? Isn't it clear the black oaks along the path are standing as though they were the most fragile of flowers? Every morning I walk like this, all around the pond, thinking, if the doors of my heart ever close, I'm as good as dead. Every morning, so far, I'm alive. And now the crows break off from the rest of the darkness and burst up into the sky, as though all night they had thought of what they would like their lives to be and imagined their strong, thick wings.
That was beautiful. I was imagining it in my head as you were reading
Beautiful. That's
Yeah.
the way. That's the way to listen to poetry. I love that. I do
That's
the same
nice.
thing.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Mary Oliver.
Yeah.
What year is this from?
Geez. So this is from. So I think this is a collection. I don't know. From 1935.
Okay.
Copyright 1986. Yeah.
Very nice. So pretty 90 years ago.
Yeah.
So she's probably not around anymore.
No, she passed actually kind of recently.
Oh,
like
she lived a long life.
So
then.
the past past 5 years or so.
Wow. So
Yeah.
she lived a long time.
Yeah.
100 probably. That was made in 1935.
Yeah, why does it say 1930? That seems a little
Maybe
old
it's the
to me.
publishing company or something.
Yeah.
Maybe it is from the. You said 80 something. Maybe it is from the 80s.
Copyright 1986. Yeah.
Yeah, it's from 86.
Yeah. That's
Maybe like the publishing house was established in 1935. I don't know. I
It
never
says
know.
her name, Oliver Mary, 1930.
She was born in 35.
She was born.
So she'd be
There we
90, so she
go.
probably
So-
died at 80s.
Yeah.
Late 80s. Okay.
Yeah. There
So
we go.
it happens. But okay, that makes sense. I'm always trying to figure out stuff with time and numbers. It's one of my biggest pet peeves when you watch a movie and like the people's ages like don't match up with the time or when they were born. It's like I'm always like, guys, it's such basic math. Just like do it. You know, someone's like 60, but they're saying they're like 40 and born in this era, and it's just like, oh my god, just like get the years right. This it's so easy. Anyway, thank you so much for doing this and for I mean, I've been asking you for what, 5 years?
Yeah, since you started. Yeah.
Before.
Well, I felt like I'd never had something to talk about. But,
Of course
but
you
it doesn't.
do. No,
I guess
everyone has something to talk about.
Yeah.
You realize when you sit down and talk for a couple hours, everyone has something to share. Everyone.
definitely like a lot of my life has unfolded a lot more in the past 5 years. So I used to be
I'm glad
so
then.
shy, and now
Yeah.
I'm a lot less shy.
Yes, yes, that's true. You were. You would have been like, no. And now you're like, okay.
Yeah.
It's true. But I'm glad. It's probably just going out and just doing more, getting older, realizing it's not that big of a deal to
No,
talk.
nothing's that big of a deal. We
Nothing's
make
that.
things into a big deal, and but you are such a great interviewer. Like you're incredible. Like this
I was
was.
just talking.
I was so relaxed, and of course it helps that we've had years of friendship. But still,
Yeah, you were here last weekend.
Yeah.
The week before. Every couple of weekends.
There we go. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we have.
I popped by at the right time.
You do. You do. Last Saturday I was talking with everyone last night, and I was like, when Pat and Leah showed up yesterday, it was as if we haven't seen you guys for 10 years. We were so happy. We were like, it was a miracle. Even though I was texting with you, it just felt like the best thing that's ever happened. Like, Pat and Leah made it.
Yeah,
It was great.
it was at 1
What a-
a.m. So yeah, it was some sort of miracle.
Well, thank you so much. And I think that your goals that you're trying to pursue and the ones you already have accomplished are amazing. I think more people can learn from your way of living and thinking and the positivity that you have. I've seen you like not happy like twice, maybe once. And it wasn't even mad. You were just like neutral. Like the worst you've been is just like, you usually it's with Pat when you want to leave. You're like, we gotta go. You know, like
Yeah.
that's it. Like that's the
I'm
worst.
done.
You're like, Pat, I'm tired. I think we should go. That's like the most angry I see you have. So I think it's what I'm saying is a good influence to people around you, old, young, doesn't matter. I think people like you need to exist more. And then your idea was trying to grow more and help nature. It's beautiful. Try to do right by nature. Not enough people do that. You're truly like passionate about it. And then art. Keep doing your art. Your art's great. I'll hold on to your artwork forever. You know, and I don't know. Your whole family's great. Your whole family's nice. Pat's great. I'm glad I know you.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we've known each other the length of a person before they become an adult. Wow. Yeah. Anyone who was born in that year we met is now able to be an adult. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Crazy. Well, thank you, Leah.
Thank you,
I
Ben.
appreciate it. And
I
I appreciate our friendship. And thank you so much for always doing stuff and helping me out and giving me your time for when I did the fest or any show. You were always so helpful and just fair and polite. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. And we're going to have to do some more camping this year.
Oh, yeah, every year.
Yeah, every
Every
year.
year camping. I think we've camped a few times. Yeah, more camping.
More camping.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share or before we go?
No, I think that this is a beautiful hour or more. And I appreciate you so much. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Leah. Ciao.